Election in support of the JFK Library's exhibit Declaring the Revolution, America's Printed Path to Independence, featuring historic documents that inspired the Declaration of Independence. jfklibrary.org. From hidden dumpling shops to boundary-pushing artisan bites, this James Beard award-winning series spotlights the chefs shaping the food scene. Watch Food Curated tomorrow at 2:30 on GBH2.
This week on Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, a recent poll shows Massachusetts voters want AI regulations. A Pittsfield hospital is sued after a deadly outbreak of Legionnaire's disease. And a new network for alums and students of HBCUs kicks off in Springfield. It's our Massachusetts News Roundtable. That's Under the Radar with me, Callie Crossley, Sunday night at 6 here on 89.7 GBH and the GBH app.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jim Browdy, head on BPR and GBH and NEPM, live from the library. The Odyssey is shaping up to be this year's summer blockbuster. Even if you haven't seen it, and maybe never will, it's all anyone is talking about. Are you getting sucked into the Odyssey hype machine in fear you'll never get out? Call or text. Then it's Globe's Love Letters columnist Meredith Goldstein and the High Cost of Dating, and Live Music Friday with a performance from the Boston Festival Orchestra.
I'm Marjorie Egan. As Massachusetts considers restricting social media for kids, what can we learn from other places that have already enacted bans? We'll talk with law professor and researcher Faith Gordon about AI and social media bans in Australia and the United Kingdom. Then it's LGBTQ civil rights attorney Alejandra Caraballo on trans rights in 2026. Then we'll end the show with you and a classic dessert debate. Are you a cake person or a pie person? Call or text next on BPR.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. President Trump today imposed sweeping new tariffs on 59 countries, plus the European Union, and that's drawing criticism from the countries affected, including China, which says trade wars don't serve either side. Jay Carmensen-Brumby has more from Taiwan.
China's comments come after the Trump administration imposed tariffs of 12.5% on Chinese goods. Speaking at a press conference, Beijing's Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson said, quote, "We oppose all forms of unilateral tariff measures," adding, quote, "A tariff war or trade war serves the interests of no one." Washington accuses China of detaining people from the Uyghur ethnic minority group in work camps, a claim Beijing denies. The new tariffs come just as a previous temporary global tariff of 10% expired. Last year, both China and the US engaged in a tit-for-tat trade war that was brought to a close after a meeting between Presidents Trump and Xi Jinping last October. For NPR News, I'm Jan Clemens-Brumby in Taipei.
A landmark federal nutrition program around for decades will end in a matter of weeks. NPR's Joe Hernandez has more.
SNAP-Ed is an offshoot of SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It funds everything from cooking classes to farmers markets in low-income neighborhoods. Nutrition advocates say it's a key public health initiative and are confused about why it was cut as part of the spending and policy package known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. In a statement, White House spokesperson Anna Kelly touts sweeping changes made to SNAP food benefits as a whole, saying the president is strengthening the assistance program for future generations. The Department of Agriculture, which oversees the roughly $500 million SNAP-Ed program, says it will continue to provide nutrition education through other initiatives. State and local organizations have until the end of September to spend any remaining SNAP-Ed money. Joe Hernandez, NPR News.
The police chief in Madison, Wisconsin, says the police-involved shooting death of 38-year-old Corey Ruiz will be investigated as a homicide. But John Patterson refused to identify the officer involved. Wisconsin Public Radio's Sarah Lear has more.
Here's what Madison police say happened. They responded to a report about a man checking car doors. That man was Corey Ruiz. Ruiz fled from police on a bike. Eventually, they caught up to him and there was a struggle. They say Ruiz pulled a knife. The police used a taser on him. They say it didn't work. And they say at some point an officer was injured by the knife, and that was the same officer who shot and killed Ruiz. Bystander video appears to show Ruiz on the ground at the time this officer fired what sounded like 3 shots.
Sarah Lear reporting. The officers weren't wearing body cameras because only some of the officers in the Madison Police Department use them. Ruiz's family has retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump to represent them. You're listening to NPR News from Washington. TikTok didn't adequately protect children's privacy rights by allowing adults to view their accounts. The commission says that exposed children to cyberbullying, unwanted contact, and predatory behavior. ByteDance, the Chinese parent company of TikTok, says it will review the findings. TikTok's U.S. operations are managed by a majority U.S.-owned entity. Among the millions who saw the summer blockbuster The Odyssey this week were many high school English teachers. NPR's Sequoia Carrillo has more.
Casey Crowhurst has taught high school English for the past 16 years, and getting his students at Monticello High School in eastern Illinois to care about a story written thousands of years ago has always been a challenge. Even though The Odyssey is a favorite of English teachers, it takes a bit of convincing to sway some students. Many teachers use clips from past adaptations, like the 1997 Hallmark miniseries. A great teaching tool, but one that Crowhurst students find, quote, silly. So after he saw The Odyssey, he posted his gratitude for the film's director on TikTok.
I just saw The Odyssey, and I want to say on behalf of all English teachers, thank you, Christopher Nolan. Thank you.
A welcome update for a long-beloved epic. Sequoia Carrillo, NPR News.
Nearly 20 million eggs are being recalled voluntarily because Midwest Poultry Services says they could be contaminated with salmonella. It includes white and brown cage-free eggs that were sold from Texas to Mississippi. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News in Washington.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. RWJF is a national philanthropy working toward a future where health is no longer a privilege but a right. Learn more at rwjf.org. Support for NPR.
You're listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Jim Brady and Marjorie Yegan. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library. Thank you very much. And streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. We're going to be joined on the 29th of July from 11 to noon by the Governor, Maura Healey. She'll be here at the library. And on August 11th, the Attorney General, Andrea Joy Campbell, will be here also at the library. Good morning, Jim.
Hey there, Marjorie. So this morning, our team spent a solid 30 minutes wringing our hands over what to talk about with you today. One might say we went on an odyssey of our own. Thank you. Just come back to Ithaca with this. Why is everyone on planet Earth talking about the Christopher Nolan movie? How many of the five of us in our staff meeting had seen the movie, Marjorie?
None of us.
None. Yet we talked about it all morning. I'll be honest, I talk about this movie probably every day. I haven't seen it. With colleagues, people I meet on the streets. It's all anyone wants to talk about. Despite, or maybe because of our forever war in Iran, ICE killing people in the streets, endless economic crises, rising global temperatures. But sure, let us obsess over an ancient Greek epic poem, The Odyssey. You'll recall Nolan, of course, gave us Oppenheimer in 2023, paired with Greta Gerwig's Barbie, resulting in an in-theater experience we hadn't seen in years, and a similar cultural phenomenon. Is Nolan just bringing the summer blockbuster back to theaters, or is this something more? And I should also say, by the way, the far right, led by Elon Musk, is obsessed with this because, God forbid, a black woman is playing Helen of Troy, and there's a trans person in the film, and I'm sure Trump is going to get obsessed with it at some point to distract people. So The Odyssey is our topic. It's a cultural phenomenon, not seeing it, but talking about seeing it. Why the hype? What does it say about all of us? And what's another example of a phenomenon that just obsessed people and it became the topic of conversation virtually everywhere you go? The number's 877-301-8970. Why do you think it's as omnipresent in our conversations as it is.
Well, Christopher Nolan has managed to do this twice in a row because his Oppenheimer,
yeah.
Remember all we talked about 3 summers ago? I thought it was 2 summers ago, but Barbenheimer, you're supposed to see.
Well, that was the combo that became the topic.
Oppenheimer won a million Oscars too, right? Didn't it get Best Picture and Best Actor and all that kind of stuff? So it was a big blockbuster. It was also very, very long. That was about the atomic bomb, of course. And it kind of had the same theme, I guess, that, the bomb was horrible and war is horrible, and that's kind of...
Is that why you think we're talking about it, because war is horrible?
No, I think we're talking about it because it's got a $250 million budget, and because there are all sorts of big stars in it: Anne Hathaway, Matt Damon, Charlize Theron. I guess she captures Matt Damon for 7 years on her island, Jim, on his way home. That's right. Okay. He's on his way home to his good wife, Penelope, who's warding off 108 suitors. It isn't easy, 108 suitors. And, the poor dog, they got this dog, Argos. The dog waits 20 years for Odysseus to come back. I mean, no dogs live for 20 years, do they? Unless it was like a little Yorkshire Terrier. Do you think Odysseus...
I don't think... By the way, you haven't
Yorkshire
seen...
Terrier.
Okay, fine.
Or a toy poodle. I don't know.
You haven't seen it, but you think it has something to do with the content. I don't think it has anything to do with the content.
I don't know.
How many people do you think who are talking about this? Well, how many... was it 12,000 words? How many thousands of words is...
I have no idea.
It's like 10,000, 12,000, 15,000.
Yep.
I would venture to guess the vast majority of people who are talking about it haven't read it.
Zendaya's Athena.
Whatever.
She runs around in these ethereal breastplates and stuff like that.
Breastplates, that may be it. Here's Valerie from Brookline texting. I happened to see the Odyssey yesterday, and I was pretty much bored throughout the 3 long hours. Too much stabbing and fighting among piggish men in funny helmets with feathers in them. I wound up following along via Wikipedia on my phone. But that person has seen it. I am saying my point, that I'm not making effectively, obviously, is all of us who have not seen it, many of whom have no intention of seeing it, are talking about it.
They're talking about
it. By the way, you know what's
certain things become phenomenons, Jim. We just had the World Cup.
That's a perfect example.
That became a phenomenon.
Everybody
was talking about
almost anything, and I talked about it every single day with you and others.
Well, some people like that actually just called her trashing the movie. There was a Time.com person that trashed the movie. She said that Matt Damon looked like Nick Nolte's DUI mugshot.
That's a famous mugshot. You ever seen that?
It's bad.
I love Nick Nolte.
Yeah, it's bad. Poor Nick Nolte. It was bad, but let's hope Matt Damon doesn't look like that because it's not.
This is another good one. This was another one. Anonymous texter. Oh, remember the days when the only thing anyone wanted to talk about was heated rivalry.
That's right.
Bring that back. That was another phenomenon that everybody was talking about, even if you hadn't seen that either.
I watched 5 episodes right in a row.
Okay, 877.
I think there were only 6 episodes altogether, weren't there? Maybe it was 8. Everyone was going to work their way. Oh, it's similar. The guys in Heated Rivalry are trying to get to the cottage, right? To the cottage, and Odysseus is trying to get home to Ithaca.
Not trying hard enough, obviously.
By the way, that was like Jacqueline Kennedy's favorite poem to Ithaca.
It was?
She wanted it
How
read.
do you know that?
Because I just remember it. She wanted it read at her grave site. I forget the author who wrote it. I should look it up. But that was her favorite poem.
Okay, let's go to Bridget in Somerville.
Constantine P. Cavafy.
Huh?
That's was written. That's who wrote it. In case you want to write that down.
Who wrote what?
Ithaca.
Oh, good.
Jacqueline Kennedy's favorite poem.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Bridget in Somerville, you're first. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi. I wanted to say that I'm an archaeologist, and I've always found people's fascination with Greek or Roman mythology and history so boring. There's so much globally diverse, interesting archaeology to learn about, and I even did a research study looking at how disproportionate media coverage is given to archaeology research from the Eastern Mediterranean region, Europe, compared to all the other interesting places around the globe. And yeah, it's too much.
So why do you think there is that?
I have no interest in seeing the Odyssey, and I have no interest in rereading the book I was forced to read in high school.
Well, by the way, that's I'm so glad you brought that up, because those of us who read it were forced to read it. It isn't like we read it by choice.
Yeah, I don't even remember
so you would
if I
think
read it.
we recoil from it. So are you talking about it to your friends or only with us, Bridget?
I mean, my friends are bringing it up with me.
Okay. We got it. Thanks for your call. We appreciate it.
Heated rivalry, that was the big thing. You know, it was just, speaking of Jackie Kennedy, you know, it was just a big thing a few weeks ago. It was Love Story, the adaptation of JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bassett's romance. And I watched almost to the end because I didn't want to see him go down in the airplane. Yeah. I don't think they showed it, though, at the end. Yeah, but that was a big thing. And American Prince is still really that's a big documentary
what
about
is American Prince?
It's a big show about JFK Jr. Remember JFK Jr.? He was
I know who he was.
Very handsome, very often photographed person.
You know who wasn't talking about that? Me. And I don't think much of America was talking about it.
Love Story was like the biggest hit they ever had.
Wait, it wasn't called Love Story. Love Story was the movie.
No, Love Story was the JFK, Carolyn Bassett romance and marriage, and was it on HBO or was it on Netflix? I don't forget where it was, but wherever it was like the big, like 40 million people watched it or something. Jim,
okay, good.
Get with it.
Okay, fine. Nick in Hartford, welcome to the show. How are you, Nick?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're good, thank you. I think. Hi.
So I was interested in this movie because my wife is actually a professor of classical studies, so she was going to have a lot of opinions about this. But I think the large point, and same thing with Oppenheimer or other big budget spectacle movies like this, is it gives people a chance to go to the theater for something that isn't, you know, a Marvel superhero movie to see something that's visually stunning. I thought the movie was pretty good. And Oppenheimer was too. Like, I don't think they were the best movies I've ever seen, but it was fun to bring our teenage son there, sit for 3 hours in an IMAX and, you know, see a well-crafted film for serious adult film goers that isn't just rehashed comic book fodder.
So Nick, that's a great point.
Don't go away, Nick. Nick, you are a very thoughtful caller as always. So then answer this question for me. I'm not even sure I'm going to see it, and I'm talking about it nonstop. How do you explain that?
Do you leave the house? Do you go to the movie?
No, I do. I occasionally go to a movie. I watch movies mostly at home, but I occasionally go to a movie theater, yeah. And the IMAX has an appeal for me, too, by the way. But yeah. So what is my mini obsession about?
I would say that it's important to go to these things and be able to talk thoughtfully about it as a film, the idea of an adaptation of a piece of literature and the limitations that an adaptation can do and how well it can do. And I just think it's, you know, even if it's a middling film experience, it's still a good conversation piece, and ultimately that's what art is meant to do.
Nick, you're a good one. Thanks,
Nick. Nick was saying what some of the favorable reviewers have said, that it's a family story, a love story, a revenge story, a war story, a coming-of-age story, themes of identity and resilience, which appeals to the Gen Z, which is kind of, you know, floating around here and there. And, of course, it is a going-home story, like The Wizard of Oz.
What do you think? Why do you think Elon Musk and his lunatic followers are obsessed with what they say is their concern about historical inaccuracies? What do you think that's about?
Well, I think Elon Musk
Racism.
is, yeah, totally. Okay. He claims he's not racist because one of his wives is half Indian or something. But I think that doesn't cut the mustard.
Wife. I think it's his latest
girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. The mother of a couple of his.
His latest
How many children does he have?
His latest girlfriend has had 11 kids with him in just a couple of weeks, actually. Let's go to Emma. I was wanting to see if Margie was listening. I could tell she wasn't.
I was just listening. I answered your question.
Emma and Milton. Hello there. Hi. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like everyone's being so... Oh, sorry, I'm hearing echoing.
Yeah, I know. That's our fault.
No, it is. It's Marjorie's fault, yeah. Go ahead.
I just feel like everyone's being so down on the movie, and I saw it Friday night, opening night, with a bunch of friends, and we had a beautiful movie-going experience.
Oh, that's great.
It's nice that people are going to the movies. Movie theaters need movies like this that get people out. It's really gorgeous. We saw it in IMAX at the AMC on the Common, and I'm glad that a lot of people are going to see it. It's gorgeous, and it has a really interesting reinterpretation of the poem that's like focused on Odysseus and his like regret over the Trojan horse, and I think people should see it. It's great.
Emma, I love your attitude. About it. Don't go away yet. I tried getting tickets to that theater, And I wanted to see it in IMAX. And the reason I didn't go, I don't like long movies, but the reason I didn't go is because there were only tickets in the first 2 rows. That's a big mistake for an IMAX, is it not?
Yes, and I will say my husband is like a huge movie person and got the tickets months ago. So I'm lucky that I have someone doing that.
Emma, thank you much for the call. Who wrote this note about Lupita Nyong'o? Zoe wrote, our colleague, anyone upset about Lupita Nyong'o as Helen needs to be just as upset at Matt Damon's Anglo-Saxon nose. It's been really pissing me off.
Well,
says Zoe.
You know, several people have pointed that out. Why is nobody upset that a guy from Boston is playing a Greek figure from years ago? They could have gotten a Greek actor to do it. So it's the same sort of thing. You know what else was a big sensation until the movie, and even after the movie turned out to be terrible? Wuthering Heights. Yeah. Jared and I went to see that. It was terrible.
Or as you called it, Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights.
But people were all worked up in a frenzy about Wuthering Heights until I think it made it a big hit, even though it wasn't very good.
Here's an anonymous texter. From what I've heard about the ancient Greeks, they had a lot of heated rivalries back then, too, Marge. Do you remember?
Probably true.
I'm coming to the cottage. You know what we learned about the first Olympics when we talked about the Olympics a bunch of years? They were naked, and then they were all oiled up or something.
Oiled up.
What was that about?
I don't know. Nadine Texas says, I saw the movie last night. I swear I saw Harriet Heidemann shooting a bow and arrow.
Okay, let's move on. Let's really move on. Timothy in a car. We're talking. We ended up talking about the movie, which is hard because we haven't seen it and almost no one had, well, not almost no one. Few in the audience have seen it. We were talking about the cultural phenomenon, but you can talk about anything you want. So hello, Timothy. Welcome.
Yes, hi. I'm an English teacher.
Oh,
I taught for many, many, many years. I taught the Odyssey. It was a favorite of my students, and I don't think they were just buttering me up. I also told the stories as bedtime stories to my kids when they were growing up, and now my grandkids are eager to see the creation of the story. You in the audience have seen it.
Oh,
really excited by the movie. Welcome.
Timothy, you have to turn your radio down in the background. I'm hearing myself in the thing there.
The archaeologist that said it was not all that significant. Well, it was one of the great oral epics that was passed down years after years, long before there was literature written down. And my professor at Harvard, Albert Bates Lord.
Timothy, it's a tough connection. I'm sorry. You're going
that
in
was
and
great,
out,
though. The passion
yes.
came through in that, Timothy. Thank you. Bob in Rehoboth has an interesting perspective, and I'm with him. I'll see the Odyssey if Mr. Ed plays the Trojan horse.
Yeah, I thought you were going to talk about all the texters that are commenting on your new shirt, Jim.
No, it's just really, you know the
Is
reason
that a
I'm
new
not
shirt?
reading it?
Collar looks good on you, Jim.
Not talking about this.
So happy to see Jim wearing a shirt with a collar. Things are looking up.
Can I tell you something? The reason I didn't read those, what does it say about those people?
T-shirt.
We're talking about a cultural phenomenon.
Many people
talking
text
about the biggest movie in America.
Your ensembles, Jim.
And they're not the only ones. It's like half the audience.
I mean, you've worn the same T-shirt now for like 3 weeks, and people have noticed
By the way,
changed.
can I tell you something in a moment of seriousness? I never wear the same clothes. Excuse me.
They just all look alike.
Exactly. I have a number, as you know very well. If I like something, I buy a number of them, as we've discussed many times.
Marianne from Franklin.
Notice Marjorie, after she trashes me, stops paying attention and moves on to something else. So she doesn't need to deal with it.
I'm back to the text messages. Marianne from Franklin says, I saw the Odyssey and left with a lesson that men have always been violent and sheep who follow a mob mentality.
Okay. By the way, we should play some sound from this thing, even though we haven't
we
seen
should.
it. Here's a clip from the trailer highlighting, I guess, the domestic conflict at the heart of the film. Here it is.
I want you to choose me.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
What would he do if he came back here and find all these suitors in his house?
You're pining for a daddy you didn't even know. like some sniveling bastard. My dad is coming home.
Did they use the expression daddy 3,000 years ago?
That's another huge controversy about these anachronisms.
Oh, it is?
There was no daddy all these years ago. And apparently there were no pants either. Men did not wear pants.
What did men
back
wear?
then, I don't know. They were little kilts. I don't know what they were.
Oh, really? They didn't wear pants?
I don't know, but there were no pants at the particular time in ancient Greece. So I don't know what they were wearing instead. I guess they were wearing like togas, Jim.
It'd be great.
Toga.
If just like that trailer, every line you and I said, in between lines, in between statements, they played dramatic music.
Yeah, and that wasn't even Matt Damon. That was one of the 108 suitors. Poor Penelope.
Well, that was his kid, the Holland.
Telemachus.
Yeah,
Telemachus. The dog, thank you, Telemachus.
You're welcome.
The dog didn't make it. Argos, the dog, the 20-year-old dog.
He was obsessed with the dog, Hannah. Remember yesterday morning's meeting?
Yes, she talked about the dog too.
She's obsessed with it.
But that's the thing. Dogs don't usually live 20 years, so you have to speculate about what kind of dog. Big dogs particularly don't. I mean, you can't see Odysseus with a little tiny dog.
The rumor is Odysseus switched out the dogs. That's the word that Homer was.
Argos the dog remembered him. His little tail was wagging before he took his last breath.
You know what's incredible? Not one single person is talking about the topic I wanted to talk about. What do you think of that? That's leadership. Gary and Easton, let's see if you, whatever. Hello.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, it's a pleasure to talk to both of you.
Oh,
my first time calling.
We really appreciate that.
So
Welcome.
I wanted to tell you that I took my wife to see the movie on Tuesday for her birthday.
Oh.
She's been really looking forward to it.
Very nice.
And we liked it, kind of, but we definitely didn't love it. It's kind of a parade of monsters. It reminded me of a movie from the 60s, I think, called Jason and the Argonauts, where it's one horrible monster after another. But the main thing that I wanted to do was to give to give a plug for the theater, because we went to Patriot Place to see the movie.
In Dedham? As in Dedham, obviously, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Either Dedham or Foxborough. Actually,
Foxborough.
It's
Sorry.
Foxborough.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. But it just reopened about 2 weeks ago as a Phoenix theater, but it's a 60-foot screen.
Wow.
It has 3D sound so that everything moves around the theater. The admission is $8 up until 5 o'clock matinees every day. $7 for seniors at all times, evening and daytime. It's got reclining seats with heaters built in.
Wow.
And you get, and this is for Jim, you get to put your own butter on the popcorn as much as you want.
That's really for Marjorie.
And
Gary, can I tell you something?
Okay.
I saw, the only time I've been in a theater like that is when I saw The Irishman, but because we're having the son of one of the characters, the guy from Harvard, who's the lawyer from Harvard, Jack Goldsmith, who's the son of one of the people who may have been involved in killing Hoffa. And the problem was, I was in a reclining seat that heated, and this is a true story, I've told this before. I fell asleep because it was so comfortable, and when I woke up, I was in a total sweat because of the heat in the seat. Did you have that problem or no?
Well, no. I mean, it's the summer, so I certainly didn't even turn on the heat.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I didn't think of that.
However, the guy next to us did fall asleep, and he slept through the whole movie. But there's one problem.
What is the problem, Gary?
There's one problem.
What is
it? One problem is the sound is extraordinary, but it is so...
Oh, what happened? Gary, what do you
so
mean?
Loud, I had to block my ears for a lot of it.
Gary, that was an excellent first call. Say happy birthday to your wife, and thank you for calling.
Rotten Tomatoes says that the Odyssey is terrific. They like 97 or 94, something like that.
But we're theoretically
Anonymous texter wants to know if salmon-colored shirts were what they wore at ancient Greece. Jim does have pants on today.
I do.
And is there any truth to the rumor that Jim is related to Jimothy, the viral hit baby raccoon?
Have you seen that raccoon?
Yeah.
It's
adorable.
Wrong, but what is going on with that raccoon?
Well, people just think that raccoons are cute, I guess.
No, it doesn't look like a raccoon. It looks you've seen it running across the lawn thing.
Maybe it's an alien.
You know what we've totally
raccoon.
done, because no one called about the cultural phenomenon. We've totally ruined what we were going to do next week. No, I'm serious. We were going to see the movie and then talk about the movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I should see it now. If so many people have panned it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a bunch of battle scenes and all that.
No, but you could listen to the guy from Easton. You can get a reclining thing and take a nap.
Matt Damon does look a little bit like the DUI mugshot of Nick Nolte, I hate to say.
By the way, anonymous texter said the way to get Marjorie to see it is tell Marjorie that the Trojan horse is a dead ringer for Secretariat, which is true.
Okay.
That conversation was not what we intended, but it was actually fairly interesting.
Okay, Jim.
Thanks for your call.
Thank you very much. Coming up for this quick break, Boston Globe advice columnist, love letters columnist, Meredith Goldstein, podcaster and phone booth operator, is joining us. She's going to talk about should you have sex before marriage? I didn't think anybody asked that in 2026, but I guess apparently some of them do. And can you be friends with your ex-boyfriend? Meredith actually interviewed her high school sweetheart. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You're listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
Next time on In Common, rowers are sprinting to the beach. A preview of a new Olympic event on the Massachusetts coast. And CAI brings back a groundbreaking reporting project from 20 years ago.
I was about 30 when I moved to Cape Cod in 2005 and started gathering the voices and stories that would haunt me for a lifetime.
All that and more on In Common. Listen Saturday at 2 on GBH 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Boston Ski and Tennis, offering indoor skiing and snowboarding this summer with Boston Metro's only immersive simulator experience. Available in the Newton location. Learn more online at bostonskiandtennis.com. And MIT Federal Credit Union, banking built on innovation, guided by real people. Memberships open to the public. More at mitfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Next July 29th, whenever that is, 11 to noon, the governor will be with us here for an hour. And on August 11th, whenever that is, the Attorney General will be with us for an hour at the library. Joined now at the library by Boston Globe advice columnist Meredith Goldstein, host of the Love Letters podcast and column of the same name. Hello, Meredith. How are you?
Hello, Meredith Goldstein. So let's start with a column. I remember a few years ago hearing about people taking these virginity pledges, and they were going to have these rings, and they pledged that they weren't going to have sex with their boyfriend until they got married. Then their older sister said that she tried that, and then it was a big disappointment on wedding night, and she made a big mistake. So I didn't know that people still debated this, but apparently they do.
This letter writer, I will say, it was a little bit more complicated than that. This was a religious choice, right? So if that's the choice you're making, and this was going to be more of an arranged marriage kind of courtship, the question was, how do I sense compatibility, both physically and otherwise? And one thing that I loved about the letter is I just kept thinking, you never know for sure. You can be incredibly compatible at one stage of your life and then not later. Yeah. So what are the universal ways and the universal languages we all use to figure out whether we like someone? And she kept saying, don't just tell me sense of humor, don't just tell me. But I thought sense of humor,
that's
actually,
big.
It is that big.
Yeah, it's
so
huge.
I am going to say that, and being able to answer personal questions, and how does this person behave in a movie would have been a good answer, because I think, when you see somebody in public, so many people who started dating in 2020 and were isolated, when they got into the real world and they thought, wow, this person's a really mean driver, they seeing how they are in different scenarios. So it made me think, you can be incredibly compatible in one way if you do have sex before marriage, but that doesn't actually tell you what you're going to be doing in 20 years. So
no.
I felt her question was universal despite its specificity.
But also the humor is huge, because when they do have sex for the first time, she may need a sense of humor.
Everybody's going to need a sense of humor.
Perfect. And also, I totally respect the woman, and I respect your respect for the woman, but it seems to me that's a pretty big problem. I mean, it's sort of like, well, my religion says I can't have a conversation until I mean, it's a real problem to have a huge part of your least imminent relationship unknown until...
Right. I mean, you're signing up for a specific kind of courtship, and I didn't... This person didn't share the specifics. You know, I've absolutely interviewed people who have what we call a more arranged marriage, and it's often a lot more courtship than I think, you know, people assume who are not a part of those cultures. So that there are long conversations, there are family connections, there are ways of learning that it isn't just, I'm going to show up on the day of. And I think I got the sense this person could spend time with people, but just in a more supervised or public way. And I think, you know, it's you can still figure out a lot.
And, you know, another column, Margie and I each picked the column that we were most interested in. She picked the one, obviously, about having sex before marriage.
Obviously.
And I picked the column that I think has universal appeal because everybody's had this dilemma. Do you put air tags on your spouse without telling the person?
I mean,
who hasn't considered that?
So
What was the issue here?
This was a hard question. It was a sad question that came in from someone who said, my spouse is not the way they used to be. I don't know where she goes before and after work. She's, you know, she doesn't work far from the house. She's just sort of mysteriously gone. And I did not suggest, there was the thought of air tags, which, like, the legalities of that aside, you know, you can't just, like, be stalking somebody, even if you love them very much. But, you know, I couldn't tell if this was concern about depression or if this was concern about affair. I think it was sort of all of the above. But I just thought, if you can't talk about this, what's left?
Well,
right?
where is the circumstance, though, where air tags would be appropriate without a person's consent? Like never?
Never. I mean, like, my friends have children and they have, babies, right? But not adults. No, there's no, unless you are concerned about a person and they need that kind of care. Now, I can imagine there are people out there who would justify that their partner needs that kind of care, but this is not a thing you do legally or otherwise to another person.
So, by the way, if I tell my favorite AirTag story, are you going to yell at me and say you've told the story 4,000 times?
Go right ahead, Jim.
We have a very good friend, Azita, with whom we work.
Yes.
You know Azita. Azita Garmani. And when her son became 16, and she has a tag on him, and he knew it, by the way, so didn't do it without his permission. And she has a tag on. When he turned 16, he immediately passed his driver's test, and he drove to school. And she called him during his lunch break and said, how's it going? It's great. What are you doing? He said, I'm driving around the parking lot at school just practicing. And she said, that's great. And when she hung up, she checked the air tag. He was at the Capitol Grill in Burlington. So that...
Wasn't that great?
I think, yeah, the
I
kid
love that.
knows how to have a good time.
Exactly.
My approach.
Wasn't he like another time, like 300 miles from home or something like that, when he's supposed to be at school? There was some great
That was
story.
Odysseus, actually.
That was Odysseus.
Talk about somebody who needed an air tag.
Yeah, he definitely needed
Everybody
an air
needed
tag.
air tags. Yeah.
So there was you did a whole podcast which I loved about whether you can still be friends with an ex, and you called up and interviewed your high school boyfriend with whom you have apparently been friends.
Yeah, so we had the previous episode leading up to it was one of our youngest guests, a recent high school graduate, who told this incredible tale. And if you have any kind of kid who's graduating from high school, going to college, and they're like, oh, do I keep that romance alive or attempt to do distance? This story, I mean, basically, when she was a junior, her senior year, her boyfriend who was a senior looked at her and said, I'm going to need to break up with you before college, but we need to stay together for the next 15 days. In retrospect, he really should have just waited the 15 days and then broke up with her, but prom was the next day. So he was like, we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and then I will dump you, and then I will go to camp, and then I will go to college. And she was just absolutely like, no, like whiplash, like this is not going to work for me. And she winds up dumping him that day, not going to prom. Now that she's a year older, she says, okay, he made a bad decision, but as a recent graduate, she's like, this is a weird time, you know. And so I felt it was important to revisit high school romance in general, and I replayed an episode that is an interview with my high school boyfriend about how we were able to get over a very similar kind of separation. You know, I was a year older, I went to college, we stayed together for the first year, and it was miserable.
Yeah.
All we did was hurt each other's feelings and disappoint each other, and we didn't break up until the summer after. And And yet we were able, I just turned 49, he just turned 48, and we still call each other on our birthdays every year and are still close. So what is it about certain formative relationships that allow you to continue? And what is it about others where you say, well, we didn't go to prom and thank goodness we didn't. But, I think we can dismiss young people's relationship troubles as, well, you won't even be thinking about this in 5 years. And the truth is, these are the moments we remember. Like the guy who said, I'm going to put on a Google Calendar that we break up in 15 days.
Yeah. Or if it's your first love.
First love,
it's the person you remember.
Yes.
I mean, Jim has a story like this.
Oh, my God. We are not.
Harriet Heinemann.
No, we are not.
Who was his bar mitzvah girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah.
She was not my girlfriend.
Apparently.
She was not my girlfriend. She was not my love. She was nothing. She was in my bar mitzvah class.
That's all it takes. So
that's it.
He was refusing to get in touch with her so we could all talk to her ourselves.
Well, I just loved that
she was a shot putter.
Okay, no, she was not a shot. Well, I don't know.
I like Marjorie's version.
I don't know if she was a shot putter.
Yeah.
Look how happy she is, by the way.
She's
so juvenile.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible.
This is just my warning to everybody who has kids or knows kids and they're about to go to college. If you see them crying about their high school loves, let them cry. Let them be. It's stressful.
It is hard, though.
What is the advice you give? I assume that every adult searches their past partner. I mean, everybody does. Is that okay? So you do that. What's your advice when someone says to you, I really want to reach out across the board to a bunch of these people who I haven't seen in 20 years just to say hello again? Well, several or whatever.
There are many Harriets.
Is it case by case depending upon how the relationship ended, or is it what kind of advice?
Sure, I think it's just. I think reaching out is fine. Just keep your expectations in check because you might not hear a response. You might hear a unpleasant response. You might hear a really welcome response, and also. I think at this point with social media, people are used to getting that friend request and you can ignore it. Or I think sometimes people have romanticized these loves of the past. And remember, these people have had decades of life sometimes after you. So if you're saying, wow, I never loved anybody like I loved them, it's like, okay, but you were 17.
Right. And then you ran into them at the high school reunion.
Right.
Right.
Remember, they're here now. They're an adult.
That's right.
Now.
Did you ever talk to the Woody boyfriend? The Woody, like a car Woody, the thing who in the book by your college roommate?
Oh, this is my college. No, I never had.
Why not?
But I found out he became a billionaire.
Is that true? He did?
And I thought he was an airhead Hawaiian guy that always surfed all the time.
Two things can be true.
I know. There, because
What's the name of that book that you're written about?
I don't remember.
Oh, yes, Marjorie. That is so untrue.
I don't remember. Jim makes
Jamie,
up
can you
these
look that
stories
up, please?
about this
What's
book.
the writer's name? What's the writer's name? She was your roommate.
Jim, you're going to have to do a little research.
Wait a second. You're not going to tell us what the author's name?
This is the best sales for the book because now I'm desperate to read it and find it.
She's also a best-selling author. What the hell's her name?
Is it in this library?
What's her name?
I should actually promote her books.
Okay, what's her
Iris
name?
Krasnow.
Iris Krasnow. Look it up.
Krasnow.
And what's the name of the one you read?
I don't remember. Jim makes up stories about this all the time.
That's not true.
But then I make up stories about Harriet Heinemann.
By the way, I was just going to say, he was Hawaiian and a shot putter. Did you know that kind of thing? So can we get...
He was a surfer, actually.
I am going to Tanglewood next week.
Okay.
The question Margie and I were debating this morning is, did you go to Tanglewood specifically to see Weird Al Yankovic?
Did. This relates to my high school boyfriend. So let me tell you, my high school boyfriend, when I left for college, made me a mixtape, as you did. And one of the songs was a Weird Al Yankovic song because I'm 49, and so all of that makes sense. And it gave me an appreciation for Weird Al Yankovic then, that this is a musician. The song was great, not just a parody singer, but also it took musicianship. And so for my whole life, because of that mixtape, I've thought, this is a really great artist. And when I saw that Weird Al was on the Tanglewood lineup, I thought, finally. Like, sometimes you start as a joke to people, and in 2026, I was like, is this my Gen X James Taylor? Like, when I think about the pop music or the popular music that they have, and Weird Al played the TD Garden. I could have gone there.
You did?
And I said to the Globe, I want to go to Tanglewood because I want to know what this looks like.
She wrote the review. I should have said that for the Globe.
So I said, may I write about this, which is not my usual purview. In fact, one of the commenters on the story said, she's doing this now. And I was like, I am doing it. I did do this. I can do this. But just the gorgeous acoustics of Tanglewood. It's not easy to play the accordion and the harmonica, do a song parody. like in his 60s, this man is in his prime. Like it is, the Times did a story a few years ago about the importance of Weird Al and what he represents. But I just think he's one of these underestimated comedians who is a musician first.
You're a little sensitive about this.
No, because it is silly, right? It's like,
Let's play. Can we play Like a Surgeon, which is one of his finest? Here's a little bite from
Take off on
Weird Al's
Madonna's
obviously
Like
a
a Virgin.
Here's Like a Surgeon, a little bit.
Like a surgeon, chatting for the very first time. Like a surgeon, organ transplants.
Now, did he perform that excellent song?
He did with a little
Look
surgical
how happy
cap.
you are.
But
It's a riot, though. He's
What-
got a chainsaw over the person.
He does.
It's a riot, the video.
It's one thing I thought about was that's an early hit, right? I don't know many newer hits because I don't have kids. So, like, I think if you have teens, you stay in the know. He was doing songs that I don't even know, and in fact, the kids of people in the audience looked delighted because here he is doing a polka version of Billie Eilish and Olivia Rodrigo, and I thought this man has kept up with musical trends for decades, and in some ways, I should do his publicity, like a historian of pop music by doing what he does. So I was delighted. It was packed. People were so happy. Weird Al fans are very nice. So, yes, I did. I chose it.
It's really
Tanglewood.
incredible.
At Tanglewood.
It really
Okay,
is.
we have to move on because we're going to talk with our listeners about this later on in the show, inspired by your column. You wrote a piece about whether you're a cake person or a pie person. So why did you do this?
So
and what does it say about our personalities?
I think a lot about pie people.
Mm-hmm.
And pie people are people who love pie. And they think about it all the time, and they get a little bit internally resentful when cake is served, and they think, oh, this could have been a pie. I know many of these people, and in fact, we had a Globe person leave to go to the New York Times, and his going-away party had pie. Ordinarily you'd have cake.
It sounded like a neat party.
And it turned into a debate where the pie people are like really angry. And why would cake be the default? It's just an icing delivery system. And I started to realize
What'd you say, an icing delivery system?
Icing delivery system. And then I started realizing that I knew couples where one person's a pie and one person's a cake. And actually, as I left today, my boyfriend said, well, Jim's pie, right?
Totally. 100%.
He knew.
Why did he say
knew.
that? I know your boyfriend a little, by the way. But yeah.
He knows you well enough to definitively say,
Total
well,
pie.
Jim's pie. And I was like, he is pie. And I started to realize that I could tell. And I wound up, it felt like a love letters relationship story, writing the story about pie versus cake and the comments. But the part that, of course, is not in the story is that I went to Pizzi Pies in Cambridge, which is incredible pie. And I say this, by the way, as a cake person.
It's actually in Somerville.
You're
Somerville.
You're a cake person.
I am I'm fully a cake person.
We have 45 seconds.
And outside I was interviewing people, and the pie fans said, are you Meredith from Jim and Marjorie?
Now, hold on.
From Jim and Marjorie?
They said,
are
you Meredith from Jim and Marjorie? And I was like, this is what a pie person says.
Well, by the way, Renee, who started at Pizzi Pie, is one of the greats of all time.
We have
she
to move
sold
on
the business.
because in 20 seconds we have to find out why you're a cake person.
Quickly.
Let life be fun.
Okay.
Let it be easy. Just, whew.
So you like the icing delivery system?
Yeah, I just want just sugar, please.
Just sugar. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that
Okay,
is
end of
what
the show, we're going to ask the listeners about that pie versus
Please
cake.
do.
That's
We'll
right.
find out what Marjorie is. Don't tell us now.
I've
Meredith,
had a conversion,
thank you.
I think. Yeah.
Phone booth still here? Phone booth still here?
Phone booth still
Phone booth
here.
is still
Great.
here.
Fabulous.
You can down and leave your letters to Meredith in the phone booth. It's right down in the middle of the library.
Great to see
Thank
you,
you very
Meredith.
much, Boston
Take
Globe
care.
advice columnist
Meredith Goldstein.
host of Love Letters, column of the same name, and the great podcast. Thank you again. Coming up after this quick break, Boston Festival Chorus joins us here for Live Music Friday. They're out to prove that classical music is not just for grandma and grandpa anymore. I'm Marjorie Egan, Houston Browdy, listening to BPR, GBH, and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Callie Crossley. Today on The Culture Show, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is conquering the box office. Now Elon Musk is waging war, promising a historically accurate AI rival. And Seattle declares Jimothy summer as an unusually round raccoon with a determined waddle becomes an internet sensation. We take on that and more on our Weekend Review today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Subaru of New England. The all-wheel drive 2026 Subaru Forester is committed to keeping loved ones safe on adventures this summer. Subaru retailer locations at SubaruofNewEngland.com. And New Bedford Whaling Museum, presenting summer exhibits including Sailor's Valentines, Maritime Art from the Heart, Proteana, Susan Heidman, and Look Pleasant Please, Early Portrait Photography in New Bedford, whalingmuseum.org.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Governor joins us on the 29th next week, 11 to 12. Attorney General joins us on the 11th of August. It's time for Live Music Friday. We're very excited about it. This week, we're joined by the Boston Festival Orchestra ahead of their summer stage Bruckner 6 performance on Sunday at Jordan Hall. Tickets and more information, bforchestra.org. Just a moment, we'll speak with Boston Festival Orchestra's Artistic Director, Alyssa Wang, and Executive Director, Nicholas Brown. But first, let's hear some music. It's performed by Tang Li. It's called The Moon Reflected on the Erquan Spring. Welcome to you. Tang Lee, beautiful. Thank you.
That was absolutely spectacular. Thank you. Alyssa Wang, why don't you tell us what we just heard?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Tang. We just heard her play a solo viola piece called The Moon Reflected on Archuan, which is based on a Chinese folk song that her friend transcribed for her. So we're so happy that she was able to bring that.
Really beautiful. So, Nick, what's the Boston Festival Orchestra, for those who don't know, and how's it different from other orchestras in our city?
For sure, yeah. So the Boston Festival Orchestra, Alyssa and I started about 7 years ago now. We're starting our 6th season, and it really was born out of the need for more summer orchestra opportunities. The way that so much of the season works is, playing from September to May, September to June, and a lot of things just stop over the summer.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to just make some more opportunities for musicians, make some more opportunities for our community, and really just kind of build something of our own. And here we are.
And what you're playing Sunday at the Jordan Hall at the New England Conservatory is Bruckner, the Sixth Symphony, which is this huge orchestral piece. And we just heard a single performance by a soloist. This is a huge orchestra production. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. This season for us is probably our biggest one that we've ever had. And ending the season with a Bruckner Symphony is a big milestone for us because, as you said, huge orchestra. We're really filling the whole stage. And the piece is long. It's almost an hour long. And people like to talk about Bruckner as an architectural composer, which means that his music kind of operates on a different time scale and on a different breadth. So when you experience the piece, you really are taken on this kind of slow-moving journey that has a really good payoff. And we don't often see the Sixth Symphony performed.
Yeah.
We love Bruckner. Boston loves Bruckner, don't get me wrong. But the Sixth Symphony hasn't had a lot of playtime, so we're really excited to be bringing that to Jordan Hall.
Can we have a submission? One of the big debates that's going on at the Nightmare at the BSO is around whether young people are into classical music, is just old people care about this. You guys reject this whole notion that it's only for older patrons. And if younger people aren't doing it, there are good reasons why they're not doing it that you're trying to cure. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much about that discussion about classical music is mostly about the experience. It's not so much about, whether they like what they're hearing or not. It's about whether they feel, like they're knowledgeable enough, as if that, is necessary, or as if they know how to act in certain spaces. So really what we're focused on is the experience of the audience, of the musicians, and really trying to break that fourth wall and make sure people know that, this is just another night at the movie, kind of thing.
Well, it's more from what I read, though, Alyssa. I mean, it's, going out to people who wouldn't ordinarily go, making it affordable with this pay-as-you-go thing, and letting people know it's not just dead old white guys whose music we care about, but women and people of color. So you're trying to attack essentially all of the potential obstacles?
Yes,
Is that a good way to put it?
We really believe that classical music, in order to get to the masses in the way that we want, it's really about accessibility.
Yeah.
But accessibility doesn't start and end with your finances. It's not just about the price of the ticket. However, we do address the price of the ticket. We have a pay-what-you-can model for our summer stage concerts, which means that you can go for any price that you want, you pick.
Oh.
So we do address that. But on the other side, we also think that there is an emotional and cultural accessibility question that classical music has to address. And there are a lot of ways that we do this. We have an education program where we actually go out into the community and perform in small groups, so that way they are not expected to come to the concert hall. So we kind of try to address geographic accessibility. And then also my role as the conductor, when I'm on stage, I never just have a piece played without any kind of context given to the audience. Because honestly, like if you haven't gone to school for music, you probably don't know the history of Bruckner, or you don't know the history of Mozart. And so part of my job as conductor is to stand up on the stage and say, hey, here's the historical context, here's the artistic, here's some listening tools for you, so that when you're listening to the piece, it actually is a little familiar, and you have something to grab onto, and we've found that really helps with that personal experience that audiences have when they sit in the seat.
Because I was thinking about this too, why people talk about classical music being, everybody's grandmother or great-grandmother. If you go to Symphony Hall, it is an older audience. So I'm thinking, so what was different 80 years ago? Was it that there wasn't rock and roll, there wasn't Bob Dylan? I mean, what was different?
I mean, I do think a lot of it is about just the sheer number of options that we have now, right? You can get so much streaming as, of course, one thing. If someone says, and that's part of the financial aspect, they're like, oh, I don't want to pay $150 to this piece. I can just go listen to it on Spotify right now, right? So there's that. There's, there's just more to do, and there's so much, kind of noise on social media and all of that, and there's just so many other options.
But you guys are, in my opinion, you're doing the single most important thing, which is going out to people, not just assuming. I've told the story 1,000 times. When we first had Andres Nelson's on the show years ago, I'd been to one symphony my whole life in New York City, and I hated it. And I was a kid, and it was whatever. But I went as a courtesy because Andres is going to be on, and it changed. It really. It changed my life in a lot. It was sort of like Brian O'Donovan, live music is where it's at. When you see players, whether it's in a library or at Jordan Hall, it changes, in my opinion, everything.
Well, but now we're in the age of AI, right?
Well,
But they're not coming after our jobs yet.
And talk about going out in the community. You've partnered with Horizons for Homeless Children, which is a great. So you can have little music workshops for kids that are between 3 and 5 years old, which is pretty exciting. And you also have this. What is this Morningside Bridge music program? Yeah,
so Morningside Music Bridge, actually, Tang, who you just heard, and Agata, who you'll also hear, they are faculty of Morningside Music Bridge, and they are an incredible music school that is housed over the summer at New England Conservatory, so where we also perform. And we connected with them, just say, we're neighbors, we're community members, let's find a way to work together. And so our two soloists coming from Morningside Music Bridge, they're working with us as to perform the Mozart Sinfonia Concertante on the concert before Bruckner, and they're also working with some incredible students throughout these, I think, like 6 to 8 weeks over the summer as well.
Can I go from the high road to the low road for a second? I admire pay as you go, or pay what you want kind of thing. I'm always worried that people who can afford to pay more decide to slide in through the back door. Are people responsible about this?
It is a bit of an honor system, right? And
are they honorable?
We don't really
generally
know.
Yes.
we don't always know, but we have to say that a huge portion, I think it's a majority of our tickets are bought with a pay what you can option. We have our standard options just to say, hey, here's what the quote market value of the ticket is. But a majority of our tickets use pay what you can, and a lot of those tickets they are paying something.
Yeah, I think when you put people on the honor system, they appreciate that they're deemed to be honest, and then they perform accordingly. But what you said about Bruckner, I'm not a fan of Bruckner. I'm not a fan of Wagner either. It's too military and muscular for my particular taste. But when you go hear it performed in person, and I've heard the Boston Symphony do it, it is a totally different experience. The power and just it's like you can't get that. No matter how great your sound system is, you can't get it.
And we're playing it in Jordan Hall, which if you're familiar with Jordan, it's one of those halls that is so strangely shaped, but it's kind of circular in this horseshoe, such that no matter where you sit in the hall, it feels like you're right on top of the stage.
You're leaving out the best thing. If you're antisocial like I am, there's single seats in Jordan Hall. Not many of them.
There are.
But there are single standalone seats.
It's a real experience when you actually go and hear the Bruckner in person.
Who's playing and what are they playing? What are we going to hear?
So Tang and Agata they're going to play, before we do the Bruckner Symphony, they're doing Mozart's Sinfonia Concertante. So that's a double concerto by Mozart. Definitely one of my favorite Mozart compositions of all time. And coming up, we're going to be hearing Agata play a solo by the Polish composer Grażyna Bacewicz. And I think that's what we're leading to next.
Agata, welcome. It's great to have you. Just great.
We have been speaking with Boston
Wow.
Festival Orchestra Artistic Director Alyssa Wang and Executive Director Nicholas Brown. Their summer stage, Bruckner's Sixth Symphony performance this Sunday, New England Conservatory's Jordan Hall. Tickets and info, bforchestra.org, bforchestra.org. We're going to talk about social media bans for kids up next. You're listening to Boston Public Radio.
If you're a GBH sustainer and you received a new bank or credit card in the mail recently, there's an easy way to update your information. Just visit gbh.org/update and keep your membership up to date. That's gbh.org/update.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And MIT Sloan Executive Education, helping professionals stay competitive with 2 to 3 day courses on AI essentials, strategic leadership, and more. Details at executive.mit.edu. And Mass General Brigham Health Plan, providing helpful digital tools, world-class providers, and coverage that help you live in the moment. More at massgeneralbrighamhealthplan.org.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Welcome to hour number 2 of Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We are live at the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News on July 29th from 11 to noon. Maura Healey, the governor, will be with us here at the library. And on August 11th, the Attorney General will be with us at the library as well. Hello again, Jim.
Hey there, Marjorie. Last year, Australia passed a law that restricts children under the age of 16 from using social media, the first national ban of its kind. Since then, several other countries have followed suit, most recently in France, where their parliament this week passed a law that will ban kids under age 15 from using apps. Earlier this year, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, who, as Marjorie said, will be with us next Wednesday, proposed a social media ban for teens under 14. The House of Representatives passed a bill in April that would ban kids under 14 from using social media and require parental consent for others. The Mass Senate passed their version earlier this month. Instead of a blanket age ban, the Senate's version would require social media platforms to enforce settings for minors that help make it less addictive. The bill is now in conference committee. So we wanted to know, how are social media restrictions working or not working in those places where they have already become law? We're joined now via Zoom by Faith Gordon. She's an associate professor in law and deputy associate dean of research at the Australian National University College of Law. She's been researching social media harms for 15 years. She's currently in the UK, completing a fellowship at the Institute for AI Ethics at Oxford, where she's watched Great Britain grapple with their own possible ban. Professor, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us from so far away. So before we get into the specifics of what different countries have tried, what we're trying here, what do you think in general of these kinds of bans on younger people or restrictions on younger people? What do you think?
Well, firstly, everyone agrees that there is a problem. You know, there's a widespread agreement that children do face real online risks. My research has shown that young people are regularly exposed to a lot of very harmful and violent content, pornography, misogynistic and extremist material, and they're the victims of scams and online exploitation and cyberbullying. And also we're seeing a lot more research on algorithmic amplification, also of very harmful content. The debate really isn't whether there's a problem. The debate is what's the most effective solution and what would that look like. The social media ban is one possible response, but we need a multi-pronged approach, really. We know that children use social media platforms for a wide range of activities that can range from education to play, to maintaining friendships, to learn, to gain information. So there's been a lot of criticism about cutting off younger children from developing all of those digital literacy skills that they're going to need on into adulthood. We know that jobs and professions now are much more focused on how AI is going to impact that field. But also responsibility, it shouldn't only rest with children and parents. We really should be holding social media companies more to account for actually ensuring that spaces are much safer for us all to interact with. And one of the main criticisms of the social media ban is that it breaches children and young people's rights. And we're seeing in Australia legal action being taken by young people, raising that the social media ban breaches their constitutional and political rights.
By the way, many of those issues are being raised about kids' constitutional rights in this country as well as individual states take a look at this, Faith Gordon. But the practical, on-the-ground reality is we've read about the ban in your home country, and apparently 7 of the 10 kids out of 10 kids who are covered by this ban have found a way to circumvent it. So even if it's a good idea, it's in the abstract, it's not effective because they're able to get around it, right?
Absolutely, and many of us that have worked in this space for many years did warn the government of this prior to the introduction of the ban. And one of the really important things that we're learning from Australia is that legislation on its own doesn't necessarily change young people's behaviour either. A very significant study that has recently been published by the University of Newcastle, published in the British Medical Journal last month, it tracked 408 young people aged between 12 and 17 for the 3 months after the introduction of the social media ban. And what it found was that more than 85% of young people continued to use the restricted platform. So quite clearly, young people are finding ways around this. The Age Assurance technology trial, which produced a report that came in after the government had announced the ban, it showed that the more mature age assurance technology providers that were tested as part of that trial, the results, there were errors in the rate, high rate of errors in facial recognition technologies that are used by the platform. So nearly 75% of 15-year-olds were actually identified incorrectly as being over 16. So quite clearly the technology itself has flaws. And the e-Safety Commissioner in Australia has also acknowledged the compliance challenges that the country is facing in relation to the ban. So it's really not a silver bullet to the issues that we know exist online.
It seems to me from afar, with none of the expertise that you bring to this discussion, that what legislators are choosing in this country and around the world is the simpler, quote, solution, even if it's not a solution. It's a lot easier to have a blanket age ban, to impose it on a sort of diverse constituency, rather than taking on what they should be doing. You touched on this before, the companies themselves, who are much more powerful and also require a much more complex set of laws. Is that a fair summary of why legislators do what they do?
Absolutely. The very early evidence from Australia is suggesting that banning access is actually the easy part. Enforcing it is much harder. Yeah. We've also seen through case law, the e-Safety Commissioner had taken action against X to remove extremist content, and really the laws in Australia were flouted by X. They didn't comply in relation to Australian law. So we've got this issue of localized laws, international companies, and really, a lack of enforceability exists. And the fines, they do hit the companies, but these are, multi-million-dollar companies. So we have to really question what's the best response. And I do feel we need a multi-pronged approach. We do need to have laws and regulation, we do need to be trying to enforce this on the companies, and we need a global approach. Really, we need countries to stand together in relation to the companies and the enforceability mechanisms as well.
We're talking to Faith Gordon from Australian National University College of Law.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I had the sense from what I read in preparation for speaking with you that the generation that's already doing it, they're going to find their ways around it, but this might be effective for younger kids, 7 years old or 5 years old or something. Is that true?
I think we don't really have any evidence to suggest that, but what we do know is that children do build up resilience through using the platforms, from learning from them. Of course, we don't want them exposed to harmful content, but I've been thinking a lot about what I call digital siblingships, so how older siblings, older cousins will assist younger children in navigating platforms, especially if something goes wrong on them. But what we're seeing is young people actually reporting that they're getting around the bans by VPNs, or they're still able to log in, they're using maybe an older sibling's account. So we do need to also ensure that education is central, because children and young people are just going to use the platforms anyway, many of them. So we shouldn't just assume that the platforms are not having users on them. They really are. So upping the education, and ideally education that's been designed by young people themselves, because they best know how to communicate with their peer group. And I think it's important to also acknowledge the role that young people play in assisting younger children on platforms.
Faith Gordon, our connection is horrible, and so let me ask you one last question. Other than the education issue, and I don't mean to belittle it, I think it's hugely important, what is second and third? If you were drafting the model legislation for countries that had backbones in their legislatures to do, what are the top 2 or 3 things that should be mandated to address the problem that you stated at the top, with which we agree everybody identifies as something that needs attention? What would those things be?
It's a really, really good question. And I think that children and young people and other groups should be brought into discussions about what we want to see an online environment look like. We need all of society to buy into what's acceptable use online. And I completed a large research project which asked young people about that. What is acceptable behaviour online? And we as a community, everyone needs to be on the same page on that, because ultimately it is members of our community that are creating this content and are contacting young people inappropriately online. But I do feel that we need much stronger enforceability. We need countries to stand together and have consistency with the laws and with the regulation and protections, rather than it being a piecemeal approach, different countries doing different things. We need, I think, consistency on that as well. But very clearly, the fines need to have need to hit the companies in a substantial way to have any sort of an impact as well.
Faith Gordon, we really appreciate your expertise and your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
really
for being with us.
Thank you. And apologies to listeners about the crappy connection. We're really sorry.
Yeah, we've been speaking with Faith Gordon, Associate Professor in Law and Deputy Associate Dean of Research at the Australian National University College of Law and a Fellow at the Institute for AI Ethics at Oxford. Okay, coming up after this quick break, we're going to talk to LGBTQ civil rights attorney Alejandra Carballo. We'll get the latest for the legal action against the trans community. I'm Marjorie Egan. Eastern Browdy, listening to BPR 89.7 GBH, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Today on the Curiosity Desk, live from the Boston Public Library. Sure, book sales may be down, way down globally, but reading has never been sexier, according to some of the biggest fashion brands on the planet. Plus, we meet members of the Rat Rangers, a citizen science patrol group based in, where else? Allston, Massachusetts. That's the Curiosity Desk, today at 1 on GBH 89.7.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And the David M. Rubenstein Americana Collection in support of the JFK Library's exhibit Declaring the Revolution, America's Printed Path to Independence, featuring historic documents that inspired the Declaration of Independence. jfklibrary.org. And Harvard Business School Baker Library, featuring an exhibit on Muriel Siebert, the first woman to buy a seat on the New York Stock Exchange, open to the public. Details at library.hbs.edu.
Welcome back to BPR 89.7 GBH. Margery Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. July 29th, the governor's with us for an hour at the library. August 11th, the AG with us for an hour at the library. Joined now at the library by Alejandra Caraballo. She's a clinical instructor at Harvard Law School's Cyber Law Clinic, former staff attorney at the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, an activist for LGBTQ rights. You can find her on social media at ESQUEER. How do you pronounce that, by the way?
Esquire.
I love that. As you know, my favorite handle. Alejandra, it's great to see you. Welcome back. Thanks.
So thank you very much for coming in. So in the last couple of years, the Supreme Court conservative majority has basically been with Republicans on a lot of issues about trans rights, bans on gender-affirming care for minors, and then their ban on transgender women and girls playing in sports teams. But that's a state-by-state kind of deal. But so where does that leave us just a few weeks after these decisions?
Yeah, it's important to say what did and didn't happen with the BPJ decision. And what it did was it basically green-lighted states that have already passed bans. It does not require other states to implement them.
Like us.
Yes. And in Massachusetts, under civil rights protections here in the state, trans girls still are allowed to play on the teams which they identify with. So that doesn't change anything here in Massachusetts. It doesn't change anything in the blue states where there still are civil rights protections for trans youth.
So let's assume in the states like ours where they choose to continue the policy, if someone were to challenge the policy, not the state saying, I want to be able to enforce this ban, someone challenged the policy as unconstitutional, I'm not sure based on what provision, I'm sure they'd find one. How would the court rule? I know it's all speculative, but the court, we know the direction it's going. How would they rule on that?
Yeah, so actually the Department of Justice has been going after individual school districts to try to get them to change their policies, even in blue states like California and Illinois. And one of the things that they're going to argue is that Title IX requires such a ban. The court didn't reach that conclusion. But even then, it would only apply, even if it went that far, it would only apply to Title IX funded entities. It wouldn't apply to other things such as recreational sports leagues.
Why didn't they go there? I mean, we all remember, I don't know if we talked to you about the time, I don't know when we all met, but in I think it was 2020, much to my shock, the Supreme Court said that when it comes to the workplace, that sex discrimination covers trans people as well. And obviously there was a flip subsequently, as Marjorie said. Why didn't they take the most extreme position in light of, and is that a hopeful sign, in light of the fact that they often take a more extreme position than the matter before them requires? Do you know, was that question clear enough?
I mean, yeah, so this wasn't the worst possible outcome for this BPJ decision. They very much only settled the matter before them and didn't go beyond that.
Why didn't they?
I think because they are laying the ground, basically the blueprint for subsequent cases to come in and challenge and to expand on it. And also the way that these things work is that they set this precedent on this one particular issue, and then now it gets cited in all these other cases and ancillary matters. And so we've seen that with Scrimetti in the last year, where it was just on the issue of whether or not states can ban this care. And now you're seeing the Justice Department argue that it can be used to deny trans people health care in all manners of settings, including for adults.
So just one last thing on this, the impact of this. Is the practical reality that some states, out of fear, are going to back away from their commitments, even though as you say, the court did not say they couldn't do what Massachusetts is doing?
It depends on what the laws are in those states. If they have codified protections, it's going to be much more difficult for them to just simply walk back. New York and California both have constitutional amendments that protect gender identity within their constitutions, and so they have to provide these protections, and so they can't just easily walk them back.
Does our state constitution do that?
No.
Why hasn't that been proposed?
I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with why there isn't a constitutional amendment here on that. I know in New York and California, they both passed recently as part of updated equal rights amendments to enshrine gender as protected status in their constitutions.
You know, you might know much better than I do, so tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but it seems to me, in a kind of a backhanded way, the Supreme Court decision on athletes is going to help Democrats, since Republicans have so weaponized this with, you know, these teenage girls come up and they're standing around Donald Trump and they've all got blonde hair and they're all talking about how, you know, their number one trophy got taken away in whatever it was, swimming or whatever it was. And the public is very anti this. But it seems to me that one area has been taken away if states could decide for themselves, whereas on trans healthcare or you know, puberty blockers for kids and teenagers, taking that away, taking your health care away. I mean, it's awful not to be able to play in sports, but to me it's a million times worse not to be able to get the health care you need. And people are much more, I think, likely to say, give these families what they want.
Yeah, I don't think the issue has been taken off the table because they're going to continue campaigning on this whether or not it's been banned or not. They will find whatever reason they can to bring this up. I mean, the Supreme Court issued its decision, and all of Twitter over the last week has just been obsessed over the trans sports issue regardless. And so even in places where, like, you know, the Olympics, the NCAA, all of these have all passed their own respective bans, there are no trans players or trans femme players at the college level, at the professional level. And this is still becoming a thing.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because the issue is about hammering this to exclude trans people from society. This is kind of the gateway. They found their issue that is zero sum, that is easy to say you are taking something away from someone else, and then use that to get people comfortable about talking about excluding trans people from participation in a variety of things.
You know, I don't know if you heard the podcast. It was, I forget who did it. I think it was the New York Times. I forget. But it interviewed this family with a trans kid from Tennessee. And they actually moved from Tennessee to Connecticut to get care. Did you hear that one? I mean, your heart was breaking for this family and this child because clearly this child was suffering from mental health issues. And it would just get you enraged by the idea that some creepy politician is going to get between what the parents, the child, the physicians, the hospital, everything thinks would help. I think if I were doing PR, we need more stories like that.
Yeah, I mean, so there's the best estimates there are, about 400,000 trans people have moved across state lines for the reason you just suggested.
Yeah, give up your home and your family and everything.
Yeah, because they can't even access the medical care they need. And so there's, you know, basically an internal displacement crisis in the United States among trans people. Everyone that I've spoken to knows a trans person that has left a red state as a result of these laws because it's not just impacting sports, for instance, it's impacting their ability to get health care, their gender markers. I mean, there was a trans woman in Kansas who had to turn in her driver's license because it was banned. Yeah. She presented the one that she was required to under state law to the police officer, and because she had transitioned, the police officer didn't believe her because her driver's license said male, and then subsequently she was charged criminally for presenting a false document, even though it was the one that was required by the state.
Expand on that so people know the driver's license deal. That's another horror.
Yeah, so they're banning the ability to change gender markers on driver's licenses. So if you're a trans woman, you can't have the F on there that says, you know, F for female on your gender. And so that can out you if you have transitioned and create all kinds of issues, harassment, discrimination, being turned away, all those different things. In this instance, this trans woman was following the law that they passed that banned this. She turned in her old driver's license and she was still subsequently charged. The charges were dropped, but it just kind of shows that this isn't about fairness. This isn't about, creating accuracy or any other kind of pretext that they did. This is simply about excluding trans people from society.
Well, I mean, also, Charlie Baker, former governor, now head of the NCAA, made the point a couple of years ago that nobody on that side cares about. He counted there were 10 trans women competing in all NCAA sports. So that's how big the problem is. I want to stay on the politics, though, for one more second. We've asked this question before. Someone called the Center for American Progress says, yes, Democrats, fight on trans in the military, fight on gender-affirming care for minors. Don't fight on this issue. And I would assume, I haven't read the whole thing. I just read a summary of what they said. I am of the belief that the primary reason that Kamala Harris lost, there are a lot of reasons, was because of the brilliance and the savagery of that $200 million spent on that ad, whatever it was, Trump's for you, she's for they, them, or whatever the hell it is. What do you say? The next nominee comes to you and says, how do I handle this issue? My heart is where your heart is, but I'd like to win rather than Donald Trump Jr. being the next president of the United States. What do you say to them?
Right. And I mean, I think a lot of Democratic strategists are saying you should just drop this issue. And the problem is there's no evidence that it actually will win you new voters. It will anger your base because you're dropping protections for trans people and support for trans people. But there's no evidence that it's going to win over somebody. How many voters are sitting out there? Well, I'd like to vote for them. They have good policies on healthcare. They have good policies on this and that. But just this one thing on sports is the only reason. There are not that many voters that are saying that.
So you don't think that ad had as much impact as I think it had in that last campaign?
Well, specifically on that one, I mean, they spent $250 million.
Yeah.
If you spend that kind of money on an ad, and whether or not Kamala Harris supported trans people, if she had abandoned trans people, they still would have hit her with that ad. And that's the other thing we're seeing is that even candidates that do abandon this, I mean, for Ken Paxton in the Texas attorney, or when he was running for the Senate race, was attacked.
He's the Republican nominee for the United States Senate to replace Cornyn running against Tallarico in Texas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And he was running against John Cornyn, and John Cornyn ran ads attacking him for not being strong enough attacking trans people. And this is a guy who had gone after trans people and their families. So it's never enough. And so even if you cave on this one issue, they're just going to hit you on the next thing. It's going to be bathrooms next. It's going to be healthcare. It's going to be driver's licenses and identity documents. And so the thing is that dropping this won't stop. They'll just move on to the next issue. And then they'll hammer that until they drive the unpopularity up and then force you to cave on that. And it just keeps going and going and going. And then suddenly you're running on the Republican platform on LGBTQ issues.
So one last question. We only have a minute left. That's for the person who wants to be the next president. As Marjorie said before, a significant majority of the American people are with Trump on this issue.
Well, I think it's because so many Americans want their kids to grow up and play sports. I mean, everybody thinks their kid's going to get a college scholarship, and of course they don't. But you see the viciousness on the Little League field when the kids are 9. So there's this obsession with children in sports.
So how do you move that? My question is, how do you move that number? How do you convince that majority to become a minority on the issue and care more about everybody, not just the people they're comfortable with?
I mean, it's going to take a long campaign of winning hearts and minds. And just even, in 2019, 2018, this was not that polarized on this issue. And it's one that the Republicans picked up on and then spent years pouring tens of millions of dollars into campaigning on. And so it's going to take a lot longer to push back on that. But one of the things that, Democrats supported interracial marriage starting in the 1960s, and that didn't reach majority approval until the 1990s.
It's the only thing I ever told Jeffrey Toobin that he didn't know. When Loving versus Virginia became the law of the land, 70% of the American public were against interracial marriage. You were exactly right, and it took years to get there. You do incredible work. Thanks. Come back soon. We want to talk about your analysis of the coverage of the New York Times.
We didn't get to the New York Times.
But we'll do that next time you're here. Alejandra Caraballo, thanks so much.
We've been speaking with Alejandra Caraballo, clinical instructor at Harvard Law School's Cyber Law Clinic, former staff attorney at the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, and an activist for LGBTQ+ rights, trans rights. Thank you very much.
Before you go, pie or cake?
I'm going to be a cake person.
Okay.
Okay. Jim is asking, because that's what we're going to discuss.
We are.
Our high-minded discussion coming up next.
It is high-minded.
What your dessert choice says about you. Meredith Goldstein wrote a great piece about this.
She did.
Stealing it from her. What do you like? Cakes or pies? That is next. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You're listening to BPR 89.7 GBH, live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
This week on Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, a recent poll shows Massachusetts voters want AI regulations. A Pittsfield hospital is sued after a deadly outbreak of Legionnaire's disease. And a new network for alums and students of HBCUs kicks off in Springfield. It's our Massachusetts News Roundtable. That's Under the Radar with me, Callie Crossley, Sunday night at 6 here on 89.7 GBH and the GBH app.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Heights Crossing, an assisted living and memory support community offering residents experiences aimed at promoting independence, inspiring curiosity, and encouraging connection with others. More at heightscrossing.com. And MIT Federal Credit Union, believing the right home starts with the right support. More at mitfcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 699225.
Welcome back to Boston Pie Radio here on 89.7 GBH. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browder, live at the library, streaming youtube.com/GBH News. Marjorie is going through the recycling because she obviously threw out all her notes, and she's trying to subtly, with no one knowing, trying to find her notes on cakes and pies.
Yep.
And so I'm not even going to mention that she's doing that. Governor here on the 29th, Attorney General here on August 11th. We're sending you off into the weekend with a very important debate. I'm not defensive about it. Marjorie is. Cakes versus pies. Meredith Goldstein was with us about an hour ago. She normally reserves her writing prowess for the intricacies of love and dating. Wrote about this issue, this endless, eternal debate. Those of you who like pies, really like pies, cite their diversity and versatility. A pie can be equally delicious, sweet, or savory. That is so true. A cake is limited in its flavor profile, allegedly. They're the default dessert for celebrations, but pies are superior for their no-frills appearance, according to our friend Joanne Chang from Flower Bakery, who's quoted saying in the story, pies, their very nature is they're not something adorned with a lot of extra things. It's not hiding behind fancy frosting or swirls or rosettes, whatever a rosette is.
It's a design made
It
frosting
is?
on top of the cake.
Thank you. That's very impressive. A great pie.
I make some good rosettes myself.
Oh, you do not.
I do.
Joanne Chang says, a great pie showcases a great pastry chef or a great baker. But she goes on to say, if it's a party, what are we going to do? The answer is probably cake. Do you buy into the pie's superiority? And can anyone out there clarify if cheesecake is actually a pie? 877-301-8970, pie or cake, and why is the question. Which are you?
Well, you know, I did say I've had a transition because when I first read her story, I thought, I'm a cake person. I make cakes. I make cakes for my kids for their birthdays. I've always made cakes. Yeah, and they're good. They're really good. I undercook them.
They actually are good.
And you have to doctor them up. You know, you
with
can't.
With rosettes.
With rosettes, so you mix in the frosting and put in a little sour cream or something like that.
Like that.
But I realized when this story said that most people think cheesecake is pie, then I thought to myself, I am a pie person because I love cheesecake and I love banana cream pie.
You do?
Yeah.
That's pie.
Yeah, that's pie. So, and I thought about that.
So you're coming down
they're more
firmly on both
substantial.
sides of the issue.
Well, cake is all about sugar, sugar, sugar.
It is.
And pie is much more substantial. It's more food-like. You know, if you have a pumpkin pie, that's more food-like.
Food-like.
Now, in this description, according to Meredith, a pie person has a certain personality. They're an underdog. They're seeking substance. They're less into frills, as you said, and perhaps less comfortable with the idea of unfiltered joy, Jim. That's a pie person.
That's why I'm a pie person. I'm uncomfortable with unfiltered joy.
Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
I'm even uncomfortable with filtered joy, actually, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and she says, you know, a cake person is different than that. They're more into the sugar and filtered and joy, I guess. Joanne Chang, you mentioned she's a pie person. She's a great baker. I mean, she thinks a lot about these things.
She's not a great baker. She was the James Beard Baker of the Year.
Yeah.
She won the Best Baker in America kind of thing. The number is 877-301-8970. As Meredith's boyfriend, she said, guess that I was a pie person. You haven't met. Well, I sort of mentioned the reason why.
What's
I'm
your
a
favorite pie?
Well, I think when I was a kid or now.
Either one.
When I was
Give
a
us
little
both.
kid, it was cherry pie with ice cream on it.
Yeah.
When I got older, it was blueberry pie.
Blueberry pie.
And today, this may shock you because it's very simple, very humble, like I am. Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Remember, I've had this
Pumpkin
debate.
pie is
sweet
great.
potato pie and
Sweet
pumpkin
potato
pie with
pie.
Callie. We've had this debate.
Well,
through
as they
the
said
years.
in the story, pie can actually be food.
Oh,
unlike
well, I
cake.
didn't finish my thought. The
Okay.
reason why I'm in the pie, unlike cake, which cake is a sweet kind of thing,
Right.
is you can have a meat pie.
Right.
You can have a sweet pie.
Shepherd's pie.
You can have my favorite food
Chicken
in the whole world.
pot pie.
Shepherd pie is not really a pie, though. I mean, it's sort of like it's a shepherd thing. 877-301. By the way, every texter so far is saying the exact same thing.
What?
I'll start with anonymous texter. Cake or pie is a non-issue. Both. Marina from Ashland. How is this even a question? The answer is obviously all of the above. Edgar, pie or cake? Pie. There you go. You know what I also think, by the way, Marjorie, hello.
What?
I think pie, there may be a gender divide. And I don't want to get attacked for this. I would assume, I'm guessing, tell me if you disagree, that more men are of the pie variety and more women are of the cake variety. What do you think of that?
I don't know, Jim.
You
I
don't know.
Maybe our listeners will
Maybe they
will
will.
fill us in on that. But I do know that, as Meredith says in her story, that it's kind of a meal in a dish, a pie. It can be sweet. It can be savory.
I think I said that.
Where cake is just
Cake.
sweet.
Cake is just cake.
Yes.
So no one has any idea what
Nikki
Marjorie's
thinks
position is, but it doesn't really matter.
Well, I was cake, but when I thought about it, I really would prefer
pie.
a really good pie. And the crust is key, of course.
Crust.
You have to have a wonderful crust.
So Marjorie was
Nikki
cake. She
says-
is now pie, which obviously means by the end of the segment she'll be cake again.
Cheesecake, says Nikki in Plymouth, is a custard.
Oh.
I think it's too thick to be a custard.
Did
Anyway.
you ever have a Junior's cheesecake in New York
Yes,
City?
yes.
By the way, I used to buy
I've
them
had them
when I was there in law
here.
school. You literally, if you can't get to the gym that day, you buy 2 Junior cheesecakes, and exactly. Eileen in a car,
Hi,
pie or
Eileen.
cake. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
I think
Fine,
we're
thank
really
you.
well. Thank you. What's up?
Well, I think there are 2 kinds of people in the world. There are the sugar people and the salt and grease people.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
And
Very
the
good
sugar
point.
the sugar people like candy, the salt and grease people like chips. So you may like both cake and pie,
Yeah.
but when I have cake, I usually eat the cake and leave the frosting on a plate
Wow.
because I like pie.
That is
Yeah, I don't
incredible,
like
Eileen.
frosting either, Eileen. It's too much. It's
Wow.
often too much.
You're both taking a really strong stand on
Yeah.
a key issue. Thank you, Eileen, for your perspective. In Bon Appetit, which I read this morning, Marjorie,
Mhm.
here are why people who like pie, according to them.
Okay.
It's honest, it's humble, it's currency, it's your friend. Do you have any idea what any of that means?
Yes, I
Neither
mean
do I.
you do feel close to a pie.
A cake, wait, let me finish. Bon
Okay.
Appetit is essential, it's history, it's life. What does any of that mean? Do you have any idea what that means?
That's cake.
According to Bon Appetit.
Because most great events in life are celebrated with a cake.
Oh.
When you get married, you have a cake. Most people have a cake. My mother
Cake.
said we couldn't have a cake, so we
Why?
didn't have a cake. I don't know. My mother ran
So
the
what'd
whole
you
wedding.
have?
Nothing.
What do you mean you had nothing?
Nothing. I don't know. We had no dessert.
You had no dessert at your wedding?
I don't remember. It was a haze.
What'd you have, like
We had-
Dunkin'
all I know is
Donuts
all
or
I know
what?
we didn't do the wedding cake thing.
You
my mother,
did?
No, my mother. That was a long time ago,
Oh,
Jim.
that's a long,
anyway,
painful story.
but I think that's it. You have a birthday cake, right? You don't have a birthday pie. You have a wedding cake. You don't have a birthday
Well, you
wedding
can.
pie.
I don't know if you're aware. You
But
can
people
have
mostly
those. Yeah.
have cakes.
Yeah.
But listen to this.
Good
This
point.
is from a different piece about
Please.
what makes pies different from cakes.
What is it?
Pies are about soul. When people have memories of their grandmother or their mother baking pie, we have 4 generations of pie recipes. That's like the big thing. They have the Thanksgiving pie that their grandmother or mother always
Okay.
made. And what is Thanksgiving, of course, without pie? Nobody has Thanksgiving cake. They have Thanksgiving pie. David in Boston, thank you for calling.
Hello, David.
Hey, thanks for having me. So before I met my wife, I was absolutely a cake person. And I think my wife makes great pie. She makes great cakes. I'm very lucky that way. But I think that's because a bad cake is better than a bad pie. You can make some really bad pies out there, like with canned filling and the like.
That's true.
And while
That's
I've got
true.
your ear, I just want to boast about my wife's specialty, salted caramel bourbon apple pie.
Oh, my
Recipes
God.
are
Ooh.
fantastic.
Oh,
It's great.
David, you have to
fabulous.
send the recipe to Jim because Jim is an aspiring Julia Child over here.
Why don't you
And
send
if
the
you
pie to Jim over here?
If you sent the recipe, Jim would make the pie.
Say what that is again. What is that pie called?
Salted caramel, bourbon, apple pie. So
That
she makes the
sounds
salted
great.
caramel from scratch and dumps a little bourbon in the mix. Like apple she cuts herself. It's fantastic.
David, that was fabulous.
You know, they
Thank
have
you for the
great
call.
carrot cake over here
They
at the
do have great
Newsfeed
carrot
Cafe.
cake.
If people haven't had it looking for dessert,
Cake, a cake
get the
or a
carrot
pie?
cake. Carrot cake is cake.
Cake. That's why they call it cake.
Yeah, but and carrot cake has to have the right kind of frosting. It has to have
Does.
cream cheese
You
frosting.
don't eat the frosting.
And carrot cake I do because
do.
it's cream cheese frosting. Jim
And
and
wait,
Hingham.
I have another question for you.
What?
Would you not agree that the perfect pie should be heated slightly? Would you not agree?
Heated slightly.
No matter what it is.
And lots of people
Savory,
put ice
sweet.
cream on pies.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, blueberry pie, great
Oh,
blueberry
my
pie in the
God.
summertime with ice cream on top.
You ever put, yeah.
You have to
What-
do
Did
the
you
ice
say
cream
what
on
your
top.
favorite pie is?
Well, I like blueberry pie.
Oh, good.
I like banana cream pie.
Oh.
It has lots of whipped cream. That's
Yeah.
really good. There was a place, Miss Flo's Diner, up near Northampton in western Massachusetts, when I was a kid, that made great pies.
Speaking of flour, and we were talking about Joanne Chang before, who's quoted in the piece by Meredith. There's a chocolate thing that they have at Flour that's some kind of pie. I don't know what. Can you look up the name of this thing, Jamie? It's a Boston. It's not Boston cream pie. It's something else.
And the coconut
It's
cake.
the best thing. Oh my God, that was
Coconut
that is
cake
just-
is
I don't
great.
even like coconut. It's unbelievable. Here's Garfield. You know who Garfield is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cartoon character. We usually don't take calls from cartoon characters. Is lasagna a cake or a pie? How about that?
That's ridiculous.
Thank you.
It's
Okay.
neither one. Jim and
Anonymous.
Hingham, thank you for
No,
calling.
wait a second, Jim. Anonymous. I hate cake so much we served apple pie for our wedding along with the New England buffet. My mom, who hadn't had any issues, the unconventional approach to my wedding details, lost her mind when she learned this. A traditionalist would be upset.
Yeah, wedding cake is the traditional kind
Got
of
it.
thing.
Sorry,
Jim from
Jim.
Hingham,
Hi,
thank you for
Jim.
calling.
Hello.
Yeah, I just have to say I do love a custard pie.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if I had to have one item for a last meal, it would be a double chocolate cake and a carafe of black coffee.
Well, I have
Ooh,
to
that
say
sounds very
that's-
good.
That is pretty.
Okay, what's your favorite custard pie? What do you like?
I don't know if there's any variations in custard pies.
Okay, just a plain custard pie. Basic, down to
Just
earth.
a plain custard pie. It goes down so smoothly, you could eat a whole custard pie, or at least I could.
Jim, that was a great call. Made me want to go out and get
Also,
some custard pie.
He was into it. Can you hear in his voice
Yes,
how
he was
much?
very into it.
By the way, the flour
Key
thing
lime
I'm talking
pie.
about is called chocolate cream pie, not Boston cream pie.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's fabulous.
It's
yeah.
delicious. Rich dark chocolate pudding with whipped cream and milk chocolate curls. I mean, whipped cream. Who doesn't love whipped cream?
Fresh. You have to make,
oh
you
my
gotta make
God.
homemade whipped
I
cream.
make home
though.
whipped
I know
cream.
you
That's
do.
the only thing I can make very
It
well
really is
besides
one of the
tuna
things
fish.
you really make really well. Tuna fish and whipped cream is
cream.
fabulous, by
That's
the way.
right. Yeah.
Key lime, you mentioned. Key
No,
lime is
no.
You don't like key
no,
lime pie?
I do not. Not at all.
Oh, I love
Who
key
said
lime.
that? Oh, that was Zoe. She said it makes the taste buds in the back of your mouth
It does.
tingle.
Well, it's
That
got
is
a
true.
number of taste bud experiences on different parts of your tongue. Have you noticed that?
I haven't noticed that,
Well, I
Jim,
don't
but
think
thank you
have.
for pointing that out.
Kimberly in Salem, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Which one?
Both. I love. Why choose? They're both delicious.
Well, because
'Cause
that's
we
what
needed
we're
a
doing.
segment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, if you had,
Also,
Kimberly,
I
I'm
mean,
going to put this to you another way.
Yep.
You're going to a restaurant and you're not going to order both for dessert. Which would you order? Exactly. Okay, Kimberly hung up because I upset her with
Okay.
a question.
Grandma
that
made
was a
the
tough
best-
question. My apologies.
Grandma made the best pies. Mom made the best cakes. So I'm a pie cake person, says Jim in Watertown.
Wow.
You know, you do remember how well, it's sexist, I know, but the woman in your family baked. It's probably a lot more guys baking now, but traditionally I think it was Mom that was doing most of the cakes.
You ever made a pie?
No.
And why? You don't know how to do the crust.
I don't know how to
assume.
do the crust.
Yeah.
You can buy the crust at the
Well,
store.
that's, no,
but
I
it's
mean,
not
you can
as
buy
good.
a made pie too. I mean,
It's more. Here's a good one.
Please.
Pie is soothing, cake is celebratory.
oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
Kimberly-
good one.
Kimberly didn't hang up. We hung up on her. Kimberly, got to answer my question. I know it's both. Why do you have to choose? Because I'm making you choose. You're at a restaurant. The server comes over and says, "I'm sorry, Kimberly, you cannot have a piece of pie and a piece of cake. You have to choose. Which would it be?"
Pie and cherry pie.
Cherry pie is good. You put anything on it or no?
No, it doesn't need to be. No.
Kimberly, I'm glad you stepped up to the plate there. Thank you for calling back. We appreciate it.
Here's another great point
What
from
is
Bob
it?
in Concord. The answer is definitely pie, because you can't serve cake warm with a scoop of ice cream.
That is a very good point.
Isn't that a brilliant
That is a
point?
very
Thank
good
you,
point.
Bob in Concord.
But you can't. Well, Zoe is that Zoe you said that? You don't serve cake
Because I think
warm.
I
That's
think
why.
it would
Who
melt.
serves
The
cake
frosting would
warm?
melt. It wouldn't be the same kind of thing.
Do they ever serve cake warm?
I've never. Have you had cake warm, Zoe,
Zoe,
with a
say
scoop of
something.
ice cream?
Have you? No, you haven't.
Okay.
Well, okay, fine.
Oh,
Zoe
yeah.
said when you pull it out from the oven.
Supposed to wait 10 minutes to flip the cake out of the
You know what the
cake pan.
one thing I used to do exactly like Woody Allen, not
What?
the thing, believe me, not the other thing, is Sara Lee, when I was in college, Sara Lee frozen cakes.
Oh, God, Jim.
He would lick them while they were still frozen. I wouldn't lick them. I would get a knife and while they're frozen, still eat them. Banana cake, chocolate. You never had a Sara Lee cake when you were in college?
Not frozen.
Oh, my
no,
God.
I think
it's
that could be
fabulous.
something that you could warm up a little bit before the frosting. Listen to this. Listen to this enthusiasm here. This is Peter in Mystic, Connecticut. Cheesecake is neither cake nor pie. It's the only evidence we have of a divine presence in the universe.
Wow.
How about that?
Cheesecake? Is that what you're talking about?
Now, here's a good question.
Yeah.
When you have your cheesecake, and maybe listeners can get into this too,
Yeah, please.
do you want your cheesecake just unadulterated and plain, nothing but the cheesecake
I
and the
don't like,
crust?
like cherries
Or do
on
you
it,
want
so,
like
no.
blueberries,
No.
a little syrup on it?
No.
Neither do I.
You go
I
with
like
the
it
basic.
unadulterated.
Unadulterated.
Eric from Ashland, thank you for calling.
Eric,
what do you
what's
think?
up?
Okay, I want to throw a monkey wrench
Please.
into this.
I wish you would.
By offering a crumble as an alternative
Ooh,
to pie.
ooh,
or
that's
cake.
good. That's good.
And I would like to offer this kind of as a rationale that the barrier to entry for baking knuckleheads like me can create a nice dessert without having to be an expert in baking.
That's a very good point
Because
too.
I stink at making pie crust, and I'm not very good at baking cakes, but I can make a really delicious crumble.
Well, there you go. And
That
do
was
you,
an uplifting call,
and do you heat
Eric.
up?
Thank
Do you heat that up too? You know, we're not supposed
Wait, he didn't answer the question.
Warm with ice cream or whipped
Warm
cream?
with ice cream.
That's good. You know how to live, my friend. Thank
okay,
you very much.
we're not supposed to go to Whole Foods anymore because, of course, we're not supposed to involve ourselves with Amazon anymore and Jeff Bezos or Whole Foods. But
Whole
remember-
Foods was also separately on the list yesterday about one of the top 10 companies in terms of getting government subsidies for Medicaid and SNAP benefits for their
which was
employees.
pretty bad.
Horrible.
But there was this thing that caused a big kerfuffle. Well, kerfuffle can't be big, but consternation at Whole Foods when they took their berry chantilly cake off the lineup of things you could get at the bakery there.
Yeah.
And people were very upset about it. And people that have had it, it's really good. Berry chantilly cake, delicate vanilla cake, fluffy chantilly cream frosting, and fresh berries, and a lot of
Where
like
do you get this?
It's one of their specialty cakes at Whole Foods.
Oh.
And they discontinued it, and people went wild, and then they brought it back.
Zoe apparently is very upset because we said to her there was no such thing as a warm cake. She says chocolate lava cakes are served warm.
That's a good point.
British puddings
That's a good
are
point.
technically cakes, but also warm. And then in capital letters, she writes, I feel attacked. Obviously by Marjorie. My mother makes a poppy seed cake, not lemon poppy seed, just poppy seed, and serves it warm with butter.
Okay, we
How would you
hit
like
a nerve. We
butter?
hit a nerve with Zoe. We hit a nerve. Well, I've put butter on things like coffee cake, which is probably a terrible thing to do. But
Can I tell you-
olive oil cake is served warm, great with ice cream. Oh, here's an anonymous texter. I'd like to throw a pie at Jim. So does that make me a pie person?
Can I tell you an olive oil cake for a friend
Yeah.
of ours who shall remain unnamed?
Mhm.
I made an olive oil cake about 3 or 4 months ago with chocolate ganache on top, and it was spectacular, except when they cut into it, it was only fully baked on the top. So you know what they did, which I thought was brilliant? They sliced the cake horizontally, got rid of the uncooked bottom of the olive cake, and we all ate the top.
Oh,
Is
there
that
you
a beautiful
go.
story?
Yeah. Generally, you want to
It's a lovely
undercook
story, Jen.
cakes, but I guess you went overboard on that. Oh, Miss Flo's, I just mentioned, somebody just told me, Miss Flo's, where I get all the great cakes, pies when I was a kid, it's still there.
Oh,
up
that's
in,
very nice.
Yeah, somewhere between Northampton and Amherst, up there, right up there, in that place.
Let's go to Brendan in Sagamore Beach. Hi, Brendan. We're talking pie versus cake. Hi there.
Pie versus cake. There's really not any competition there. Team 3.14, yada, 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 all the way. Cake is disgusting. What grade are you in if you like it?
Wow.
So particularly with pies. Has anybody brought up putting cheddar cheese on an apple pie yet?
No, but you're absolutely
Actually,
right.
it's
It's
pretty great. I
yeah,
agree.
that is great. Yeah.
You
And
like?
then the other thing I was going to...
Please.
sorry.
No, you keep going. You're doing great. Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot to say, long-time sexy time. I
Wow.
chimed in on the grammar debate way back.
Those are our favorites. Go ahead. Keep going. You're on
Yeah.
a roll here, Brendan. Go ahead.
All right. So then I was going to say, I think they may have closed. I know the Southie location closed, but there was that Australian meat pie place on A Street in Southie called KO Pies. There for probably 15 years at least. That's condos.
No,
now,
I
think, but,
went. I went about 8 months ago. It's in. I think it's in East Boston. I hope I'm right about this. I think it's in East Boston now, and they were spectacular. Just spectacular. KO pies. They're great. Meat pies, right? Is that what you said? Meat pies.
Yeah, I got meat pies. So
they're great.
Yeah, the size of like a little turkey pot pie, like
Great.
a calendar.
Great,
Yes,
great, great.
turkey pot
And,
pie.
Yeah.
And you can get like an Irish beef stew. You can get, they have all sorts of specials.
Hey, Brendan.
Amazing
So,
stuff.
Brendan,
Also,
I have a question for you. Since you have some
Yeah.
expertise, what is a baked Alaska? What would you call that?
a baked Alaska?
Yeah. What is that? A cake or a pie?
I don't even know.
I would assume it's a pie with haddock in it.
Okay, there. Thank you. That was a good one.
Okay.
Brendan, thank you for
Sylvia
the call.
in Salem says, I'm trying to lose weight. This topic's not helping. I'm now salivating thinking about my favorite lemon meringue pie. And other people have mentioned pecan pie, strawberry rhubarb pie, peach pie, and whoopie pies.
Whoopie. I'm not a whoopie pie guy at all. It's not even a pie. A whoopie pie is not a pie.
Well,
it's like a cake.
Well,
exactly.
nonetheless,
it's a whoopie cake pie.
it's called a whoopie pie,
Thank
not
you.
a whoopie cake.
Now, Edgar,
Yes.
forget, I don't care
Wait,
what your
that's a
position.
topic for the Curiosity Desk. Why is the whoopie
why is a
pie
whoopie pie
called
a pie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you
We're on
listening
that.
to the?
But we found
need
out about
stuff
the-
for next week, so that's perfect.
The
Were you
12
listening?
eggs, though.
Were you
The 12
listening?
eggs. Yes, I
Exactly.
did. You waited.
One-
It was the last
I
thing
had
you
to wait
did.
till the end of the damn show. I was busy.
You've been
I'm
waiting for
listening.
years,
I'm listening.
Jim.
I'm listening. That was brilliant.
Were you satisfied?
I'm never satisfied, but that was
But
as
that was
close
as close to satisfied
satisfying.
as you are. Do you have something after the show? That shirt is really nice. Do you have like a thing you got to do?
That's
nice.
Find out on the
coverage.
Curiosity Desk
Yeah.
and you'll learn.
Jim is going to go visit Harriet Heidemann after the
fine.
show.
No, there's only so
Harriet
many times
loves-
you can use that.
Jim, little tip: if you do want to have a really nice pie crust, if you're
Yeah.
trying to get into making pie crust, use vodka as a sub for some of the water.
You do this? Are you a pie
I do. Yeah,
maker?
yeah. I love pie, and I love the
You make
crust. That's
pies?
what, I do make pies
Oh, my
sometimes. Yeah, and
goodness,
what I love about it is
Edgar.
the crust. But yeah, so if you use vodka, what happens when you use water, it hydrates, but the gluten develops. If you use vodka, you don't get the gluten development. You get a nice flakier crust. The alcohol bakes off, so there's no alcohol in it.
That is
but you
rather
get the
incredible.
You've been
hydration.
holding out on us.
Yeah, I'll make you guys a pie.
We're ready.
Okay.
We're ready. I would love
how
a
about
pie.
Monday? What are you doing on the show?
Well, have you ever heard Allston referred to as Rat City?
Oh,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh.
Well, if you look out here in the
I'm
audience
looking,
here, maybe
yeah.
I can ask him to stand. We have a real rat ranger from Allston
No,
who's going to be
oh,
on the
he's
show.
right
We're
there
going to
with the
talk
ranger hat on.
in a little bit of seriousness about the rat problem in Allston, but also about the way they've sort of embraced it. And they have a whole arts festival around Rat City.
See
I
the
saw-
rats in the Dunkin' Donuts
Yes.
at South Station?
The other day, I'm walking
Disgusting.
Do you
from
think
my
they
neighborhood
like pie or cake?
in Austin. A pit bull with a rat in its mouth, and the owner couldn't get the rat out of the pit bull's mouth to get in the car.
That is like
good.
the most Allston story
Yeah,
I've ever heard in my
it
life.
is.
Exactly where
gross.
it belongs. Nice to see you, Edgar.
Okay.
We'll be
Thank you
watching
very
and
much,
listening.
Edgar.
And thank
you very
for
much for
answering
tuning
my
in.
question.
Keep up with this 24/7 way of our podcast. Check out our TikTok page at Boston Public Radio. Monday, we're live with food policy, and we're going to be here on Monday, actually.
No, we're not.
We're not?
We're in Brighton.
Oh, yeah, but we're on the
working.
show. We're working on Monday. We don't have the day off. Our food policy analyst, Corby Cummer, Boston Globe business columnist Shirley Young, Roger Brown, and Lisa Levy of the great Salt Lick Incubator. They're going to join us with this musical performance from this unbelievably great band. Well, I don't know if you call them a band.
They are a band.
Okay, they're a band.
Tiny Habits
Tiny
are
Habits. The
spectacular.
harmonies are unbelievable. Plus a conversation with Reproductive Equity Now, a group pushing for unrestricted access to abortions later in pregnancy. We want to thank our crew, Zoe Matthews, Hannah Loss, Ariana Gonzalez, John the Claw Parker, Jane Bologna, Maddie Gar, Bill Francis, Patrick Lally, Lauren Herbert, our security team, Darius and Derek, our hosts at the Newsfeed Cafe and across the street at the Lenox Hotel. The Curiosity Desk is right after us, and right after that is the Culture Show's Week in Review, which is going to be here at the library.
Cambridge Jazz Festival is happening this weekend, all for free. The festival brings together world-class jazz artists, emerging talent, and thousands of music lovers to the heart of Cambridge. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye.
From the stories of centuries past to discoveries that will define our future, How Did We Get Here's, how-tos, and more. Journey with us down the rabbit hole on the Curiosity Desk. Coming up next on GBH 89.7.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Standish Village in Dorchester's Lower Mills, providing assisted living residents with programs designed to help seniors stay sharp, social, and independent. Learn more at standishvillage.com/programs. And Brighton Farmers Market, Wednesday afternoons from 1:30 to 6:30 on Brighton Common in Boston, June through October, featuring a variety of local foods, farm fresh produce, children's activities, and live music.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Today on the Curiosity Desk, live from the Boston Public Library. Sure, book sales may be down, way down, globally, but reading has never been sexier, according to some of the biggest fashion brands on the planet. Yet another reason to come down and watch us at the library. That's on the books for our Friday Misfit News panel, in case you missed it. Also in that segment, can Dr. Phil be trusted with classified government intel on UFOs? After that, we meet two members of the Rat Rangers, a citizen science patrol group based in, where else? Allston, Massachusetts. Plus, we take a peek into the treasure trunk that is Antiques Roadshow in the midst of their 30th season on the air, and ask, are they finally old enough to appraise themselves?
I would insure it for at least $1 million.
It's all ahead this hour on the Curiosity Desk.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Nora Rahm. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is scheduled to meet with President Trump next week on the war with Russia. A White House official not authorized to speak publicly says he'll visit the White House on Tuesday. The Trump administration has announced double-digit tariffs on dozens of U.S. trading partners. It's also threatening additional tariffs on the United Kingdom. NPR's Lauren Freer reports.
President Trump's ambassador to the United Kingdom, Warren Stevens, told Sky News that if the new British Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, decides to tax big tech, which is mostly American companies, that could trigger more tariffs from Washington. A digital services tax is something the UK has been considering. For now, though, the British government says Trump's latest tariffs will amount to, quote, no negative change for British exports. Burnham's predecessor, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, was able to strike a better U.S. trade deal than many other countries with lower tariff rates. And King Charles got the U.S. tariff on Scotch whiskey reduced to zero when he visited the White House in April. Lauren Freyer, NPR News, London.
The Justice Department has withdrawn subpoenas that would have forced New York Times reporters to reveal their sources for stories about the jet that Qatar gave to President Trump. A federal judge had questioned the government lawyers, their actions, judgment, and honesty. David McCraw is an attorney for the Times. He says it will not be intimidated.
The stories we're reporting are important. The public needs to know not just what the government wants to tell the public, but what happens behind the scenes. And we are going to continue doing that. The second part is that the government has a way to do this. There is a process. It's spelled out in the law and it's spelled out in the rules that the DOJ has for itself. Asking the government to follow the rules, asking the government to follow the law is not interfering. It is upholding the rule of law.
He was interviewed on NPR. Firefighters are battling several large wildfires in more than a dozen states, mostly in the western U.S., including Oregon, Colorado, and California. They'll be getting some help from Australia. NPR's Kirk Ziegler reports.
The National Interagency Fire Center in Idaho has raised the national preparedness level to 5, the highest, meaning that all U.S. resources are currently deployed to major fires from Oregon to Minnesota. The concern is whether crews would be able to adequately respond if another major wildfire ignites, which in these dry conditions seems inevitable. At the fire center's request, the Australian Rural Fire Service says it will send 26 incident management and specialist bush firefighters from the state of New South Wales. These elite crews are in high demand here in part because federal agencies like the U.S. Forest Service have lost hundreds of career fire managers via DOGE or buyouts since President Trump returned to office. Kirk Ziegler, NPR News, Boise.
This is NPR News.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. Scientists say a brown bullhead catfish in a lake that spans the Vermont-Quebec border have a rare form of contagious cancer. Vermont Public's Abigail Giles has more on a new study.
At least a third of the brown bullhead in Lake Memphremagog are riddled with black spots and tumors. After years of looking for why, a coalition of researchers published a new academic paper about it this week. They say the tumors are a kind that act like an infectious parasite, spreading from fish to fish. Julie Dragon is a geneticist at the University of Vermont who helped lead the study.
We have not seen this cancer in other bottom-dwelling fish in Lake Memphremagog, so we don't believe that they can pass it to any other species.
This is the first time a contagious cancer like this has ever been confirmed in a fish, though dogs, Tasmanian devils, and bivalves like clams also get them. For the New England News Collaborative, I'm Abigail Giles.
Massachusetts House lawmakers have voted to allocate $30 million for infrastructure projects designed to eliminate sewer overflows into the Alewife Brook in Cambridge. The Crimson reports that it marks a major step forward in addressing a long-standing environmental issue. For decades, the Alewife Brook has been flooded with untreated sewerage. It's a problem that stems from the sewer system below the brook, which sometimes combines sewage water and rainwater, and during those floods, waste can flow into surrounding sidewalks and into residents' homes. 82 degrees in Boston. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from Progressive Insurance, offering a variety of insurance options from auto and home to boat and RV, with online tools for quotes and claims. Coverage options at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. This is NPR.
Welcome to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We are live at the Boston Public Library, and we're streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Well, it is time to kick the show off, as we love to on Fridays, with our menagerie of misfit news. This is what we like to call In Case You Missed It. And in case you missed it, last weekend, the Charles River Conservancy held the Charles River City Splash, encouraging locals to take a dip in that not-so-dirty water. Many did, including prior Curiosity Desk contributors Emily Sherrio and Mike Dehan. I've also dipped in the Charles myself. Unfortunate timing when a mere few days later, the Boston Public Health Commission had to warn residents to avoid swimming in that same river, though in a different section, after a possible cyanobacteria algae bloom led to the death, allegedly, of a dog. Today's curiosity question, can the Charles River PR team ever catch a break? Also on the books, Second to River Swimming is reading America's sexiest pastime. Joining us now to go over these headlines and more is Callie Crossley, host of Under the Radar, which airs Sunday nights, 6 o'clock, right here on 89.7. She is also co-host of The Culture Show. The Week in Review starts right after us, right here in the library at 2. They'll be streaming. They'll be on the air. We are also joined by Andrea Asuaje, senior producer of weekend programming, which includes Under the Radar, as well as GBH's newest show, In Common. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to call a little bit of an audible at the top here, and I'm going to file this under there's no way you can miss this news, but it is breaking right now. If you haven't heard it yet, you certainly will. A certain basketball player of international fame named LeBron James has decided where he's going to play basketball next year, and that is in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. I may or may not be a Philadelphia 76ers fan, so that may or may not have to do with why we're slotting this in at the top. But what do we think, Callie? LeBron James, I mean, he's one of these figures, for me, one of my measuring sticks of is this sports figure actually crossed over into the wider culture? Does Callie care about them?
Oh,
And I feel like LeBron James is somebody that you care about.
I care about him because he is a talent, of course. He is a generational talent, as we all say. But I also care about him because who's on the advisory team? Let's go to Savannah James, his wife. Oh, hello. She's got it all going on. So as he's making these decisions, I know she's right there weighing in. And then the man has the sports agent of all times.
Oh, yeah.
Rich Paul, you may know him as Adele's boyfriend.
Really?
But, yeah, he is the man. So there was a lot of strategizing. You know, he has a memoir about how he came from little and then got to be Rich Paul.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at who helped him come to this decision, but LeBron himself says it's about family.
Yeah.
So I think I take him at his word.
I would
and
too.
I love it because so many people are mad.
I know. I know. Philadelphia coming through one. People in Philadelphia are not mad.
No,
just
no,
for
that's
the
to be
record.
clear.
Andrea, what's your take? I mean, you're largely you are a sports person.
I do
right?
like sports. Basketball is not my sport.
That's not your top.
But I remember when LeBron was on the Miami Heat. I was in
Yes.
Florida then. It was so epic. I really thought, that was a rumor that maybe he would end up back in the Heat. There was a lot going on about where he would end up. So I'm very happy for you, Edgar, that he ended up where he belongs. I think it's a 2-year contract that he signed.
2-year contract, $8 million. So it's clearly not about the money. Although I was joking with somebody, and in parentheses, he now owns the 76ers.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, it's going to be a big season. you
Yeah,
know.
I do think, given that it's a 2-year contract for $8 million, that this might be. This might be it, right, for LeBron.
Chapter.
And I do think that he will probably, like Tom Brady did, like so many of our big athletes have done, he'll sign that one-day contract with the Cavaliers and retire there after this contract.
I think that's a good prediction. All right, well, from sort of like one last time to something that has been happening every year, and that is the yearly dip in the Charles River. That happened this week, actually, over the weekend, the Charles River swim. Callie, by the face you're making, I'm guessing you are not lining up for City Splash. You don't want to get in the Charles?
No, and my buddy Mike Dean, really? Seriously?
Yeah. Mike Dean
went into
he wrote about it in Axios this week and said it was warmer than he thought it was going to be, that it was more pleasant than he thought it was going to be. If you're watching the stream, there's a picture of our friend Mike Dean cannonballing, actually, into the Charles River. What's your take on this, Andrea? Are you for this? Would you go swimming in the Charles?
Oh, I'm not about to go swimming in the Charles.
No.
But
I've been in a couple of times.
No,
and
I've
seen
seen
it.
it.
I'm standing to tell the tale.
And good on you, Edgar. So I am on the river 3 times a week. I was on the river this morning with community rowing, general sweeps, AM class. Babes on the boat, shout out.
Yeah, so what time do you get up to go? So
oh my God, thank you so much for asking.
River, yeah.
I do row on the river. My class starts at 5:30 in the morning. I do this willingly.
And you do this during the work week?
Yes.
So
Monday,
you're up
Wednesdays,
at
and Fridays.
5:30 in the morning and you're out on the water?
No, I'm up at 4:45 so I can get to practice. Practice starts at 5:30.
This is unbelievable.
So I am on this water constantly, right, from between March through November, really. And I see the water and when it ebbs and flows in terms of
when
quality.
It goes through its various phases.
And I know it's, when it has its toxic algae blooms. And just this past week, it was covered in garbage after this combined sewage overflow really took over. And it was really upsetting to see like the level of garbage that was on the river just this week.
Well, I mean,
so that's a no on swimming.
Yeah, that's a no on. That's clearly a no on swimming. Though you are taking advantage of the fact that there is a. I mean, like you do go boating on it. So, as we said in the lead, we also have a situation in a different part of the river this year. Maybe having something to do with the combined sewage overflow, but just also as we talked with scientists earlier this week, just about the kinds of things that end up in these rivers and cyanobacteria. It's in there, and a lot of times it's conditions, for example, heat or whatever, that'll kind of cause these algae blooms. But an apparent, and we don't know this to be true yet, because the city is sort of testing the water still. I think we're awaiting results. But there's a woman who believes she had her dog down by the river, walking the dog. The dog was playing in the river. We think possibly had exposure to cyanotoxins and then had liver failure and died.
Yeah, that's enough for me.
Yes.
And I know they're saying it's a different part of the river, but I'm sorry.
No. So do you ever go to? I mean, you don't spend time. I mean, you live in Cambridge, right?
Yes, I do.
So
but
the
that's
river's
not,
right there. Not your thing.
No, I do like a Massachusetts beach on Martha's Vineyard.
We get away from where the people are.
There you go.
Out into the. Yeah. So do you worry about alpha-gal?
Well, that's a whole other story. But I think we've been back and forth on this cleanliness of the Charles River. I applaud all the efforts. I think they need to continue because we would like for it to be cleaner, but that's a little suspect to me right now. The juxtaposition of Mike swimming and the dog dying, and I just
And I know that there's a lot of really great campaigning from the Charles River Watershed Association, the Charles River Conservancy. They have a very funny campaign called Cut the Crap. Yeah. It's literally because the same pipes that funnel stormwater into the river is also sewage. Yeah. And it's because our pipe system is so old here, like so much of our city. This is a precious resource that we have that flows through our city, and we really should try to get it as clean as possible compared to what it used to be in the 70s and 60s when it was really, really grody into this. We don't have to live this way, is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be that way.
Here's a little insight on dirty water from guest on our show last week. This is UMass Lowell biologist Sarah Gignoux-Wolfson talking about some nature-based solutions potentially for water contamination.
Nature has these solutions for us that can decrease the amount of runoff that goes into the water if we reduce the amount of pavement and increase plants and other organisms. Filter feeders such as mussels and oysters actually pull pathogens out of the water column.
Yeah, so we hear a lot about. It's what has become increasingly clear to me is like the big issue is when we have rainfall. When we have a lot of rainfall, all of a sudden, because of our sewer systems, as you say, but also all of the area that we have paved over, we have runoff into these rivers, and that's when we get into trouble. And of course, as we know, with a changing climate, when we get rain, increasingly we get lots of rain all at once, and it's clearly a problem that we're going to have to continue grappling with.
Going from drought to a lot of rain all at once. Yeah. So that's just a recipe for runoff.
And those drought conditions are also what cause the cyanobacteria and the toxic algae blooms as well. Yeah, that's right. When it's shallow water and very hot temperatures. And so it's just, we can't catch a break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we leave the waterways, and we just heard Henry Santoro in the news in the newscast there talking about this strange story out of Vermont where there's this lake.
Very odd.
And they have finally worked out, so there are these catfish. This is something folks might have missed. There are these catfish in this lake on the Vermont-Canada border, and they have these black lesions on them. And scientists have essentially finally worked out what it is. It is a cancer, and it is a communicable cancer, which is to say that they realize that it can spread. And they're not worried that it's going to spread beyond this particular species. It sounds like other fish, other creatures in that lake don't show signs of this. But they finally researched. They put a research paper out this week that says, "Hey, this is a cancer that is spreading among these fish." Wild.
It's very wild, and as you know, I'm a Southerner, so catfish is a primary food group.
Yeah.
So this is very concerning to me. I don't want this starting here and going anywhere else. But I never heard of it. As much catfish has been in my life, I have never, ever heard of anything like this.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Oh, for that matter, any other species of fish.
No, and just to see it as well, it's very odd to look at. They look like they're meant to be spotted almost. It's very weird. And I think, Henry mentioned this in his newscast, but in the story that we read, the other animals that are susceptible to this is like Tasmanian devils.
Yeah, they get a cancer that spread. Yeah.
It's very odd, but what I also read in this is that they don't know where it comes from, but it could have been exacerbated by runoff. Right. And so, this really goes back to we need to take care of this runoff problem because it can really do serious damage to our environment, like flora and fauna, right?
And the other thing that they emphasize at the end, by the way, but I think it should be at the top, you cannot eat this fish.
Right.
Yeah, they were like, don't eat this. Stop eating the fish. Probably okay. You're probably not going to get cancer, but just don't.
Yes, and
eat the fish.
That was at the end after they profiled the guy who said he just brushed off the spots and went ahead. So
wipe
they're
off
saying,
the dirt and have a bite.
No, don't do
You are
that.
listening to The Curiosity Desk. We're talking with Andrea Asuaje and Callie Crossley, our little menagerie of misfit news in case you missed it. Well, case you missed this headline, and I bet neither of you missed this headline, I'm just going to read the headline. This is from The Guardian this week. The rise of the, quote, hot literati, how reading became sexy.
Oh, yeah.
This is a number of trend pieces and a number of publications that we've seen in particular this week, but in recent years that basically saying, like, right now, reading, kind of hot, and being embraced by the beautiful among us.
Well, I would say that you're looking at two people who are bibliophiles times 10.
Yes.
So let's begin
This is
there.
why I'm very interested on both of your take on this.
It's been hot for us for a long time. So that's the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing to say is that our show, Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, we're on lock with the books.
Yes, indeed.
So really what they're talking about are people getting excited because celebrities are getting excited, and there are celebrity book groups. There's been a huge one for 30 years, Oprah's book club.
Yeah, heard of it. Heard of that one.
And so now everybody else has it, and that's fine. And I'm happy for whatever brings people to a book.
Exactly.
And elevates authors. So if it's going to be a trend, let it be a trend, because we also have that trend of people not reading as much as they have in the past.
Yeah.
Exactly. I totally agree. You know, there's something, every year we have some amazing librarians from this library, from other libraries in our area, and what they always tell us is it doesn't matter what you read, just read, right? That really matters. Reading for pleasure, reading for joy, it matters. And so I am all for every celebrity picking up a book, sharing it on Instagram, and getting other people to read. That if that's sexy or not, well, I think it's pretty sexy. But
we think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other interesting thing is in addition to that kind of more hard to calculate trend, that idea of very rich and beautiful people are embracing it. We're also seeing an interesting sort of combination of things. One is bookstores in general, independent bookstores in particular, doing well, growing with sales, growing with the number of independent bookstores that there are, something that we have an embarrassment of riches of in this area.
We do.
But also, to your point, people reading less at the same time. So bookstores doing well, up to and including Barnes & Noble, who have really turned things around. But people are also reading less. What do we make of these kind of numbers that seem to be kind of at cross with each other?
Well, part of it, and Andrea may agree with me about this, is people not being able to find what they like to read.
Yeah.
Because every time we look at a big trend in reading, let's even go back to Harry Potter. People will read when they want to read something, when something is interesting to them or piques their curiosity. Hello, curiosity desk.
Nice point.
So I think what always has been the issue is getting the people to understand what's out there and what's available and what's interesting, and presenting the material in ways, in different formats that people find attractive. Half of my book club are on audiobooks. I can't do audiobooks, but that works for a lot of people, and that has been a big opening for folks. All of the people on Book Talk and Instagram, all the online book readers have helped a lot in this. So I think that's the issue. What would you add, Andrea?
I think I would say that it's both a discovery issue, right?
Yeah.
But I think that people are really pressed for time.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find time to sit down and read something that you're doing just for fun. And so often our attention is taken away by other screens, by work, by responsibilities, that you really have to kind of do appointment reading, right?
You have
Just
to
like
carve
you would
the time out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to carve the time out, and maybe that's before bed, maybe that's early in the morning, maybe that's middle of the day when you're eating.
When are you going to do it early in the morning when you're already getting up to get on the river 3 days a week at 5 o'clock in the morning?
I do audiobooks. I listen to an audiobook.
All right.
I read while standing in line.
Oh, that's pretty good, Callie. I like that one.
Yes.
All right, before I let you go, I'm going to get to one more of these. Callie, you mentioned Oprah and her book club. Well, Oprah brought us a number of things in our time, including a figure named Dr. Phil. Now, this is another one folks might have missed this week. Dr. Phil revealed this week that apparently, this is a legend, we have not gotten confirmation from the White House, but he said on a podcast that the White House had asked him to review the UFO files that were going to be released to the public so that he could weigh in on, I guess, whether psychologically he felt the public was ready for whatever was in them. What do we make of Dr. Phil as a consultant on on UFOs?
Well, he's concerned, according to this piece, about the moral and psychological impact of releasing information about UFOs to the public, which could prompt everything from spiritual crises to doomsday scams. Right there, the plot of Steven Spielberg's new movie. So I'm assuming he had a script ahead of time. Spiritual advisor Steven Spielberg. So I guess that's why he came away with that. But what do you bring to the table to be evaluating anything?
I guess the doctor in Dr. Phil. I mean,
no.
I don't know how he got chosen for the UFOs, which we call UAPs now, people.
Oh, yes, they are called UAPs.
Unidentified anomalous phenomena.
That's right.
But yeah, this concern over the spiritual and the religious health of the country, very odd. But I will say, I want to see the files. Show me the files. I want the unredacted files.
So far it sounds like there have been, I think, 4 tranches of files that have come out. And for folks who really do follow this, they have been like ho-hum, ho-hum, ho-hum.
Yes. Nothing new.
Nothing really new or nothing that interesting. Really quick before we let you go, Callie, what do you have on Under the Radar this weekend?
We're doing our Massachusetts News Roundtable. You may be surprised to know that the protest about Andros Nelson is huge in Tanglewood. In Tanglewood. We know it's huge, period. But it continues in Tanglewood at a high rate. So we're talking about that. Talking about a new network for HBCUs alums being started in Springfield. And then we're doing our food and wine segment because red wine can be chilled, some of it, as you know. And we got a lot of cheesy bread going on.
Woo. Sounds like a great show.
Oh, it's delicious.
Andrea, In Common, still a pretty brand new show. What's on this weekend?
We're new, but we've got a new episode today, or on tomorrow at 2 p.m. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. In Common. We've got our own Sam Turkin on to talk about police accountability in Worcester. We've got our friends at CAI, Sean Corcoran and Amy Kolb-Noyes, giving us an update on the update on Two Cape Cods, which was this groundbreaking series 20 years ago, really talking about the have and have-nots in Cape Cod. We have Jill Kaufman of NEPM talking about flyer culture in Northampton, talking about the little pull-down guitar lessons here and how they're trying to regulate those. And then Jeremy, our host, Jeremy Siegel, tries his hand at the beach sprints, which are happening today, tomorrow, and Sunday at Carson Beach in Southie. Check those out.
All right, great weekend programming coming your way on GBH. In case you missed it, we've been speaking with Callie Crossley and Andrea Asuaje. Callie, of course, host of Under the Radar. Sunday night, 6 o'clock. Also co-host for The Culture Show. That is happening, the Weekend Review, right here in the library at 2 o'clock when we are done. And Andrea, senior producer of Weekend Programming, which includes Callie's show and In Common. Thank you both.
Thank you, Edgar.
Thank you.
When we return, the Rat City Arts Festival, right up Callie's alley, is about to descend on Allston. As for the rats themselves, you know it, they're always there. We're going to talk with some folks from the festival, some self-described rat rangers. This is the Curiosity Desk. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Callie Crossley. Today on The Culture Show, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is conquering the box office. Now Elon Musk is waging war, promising a historically accurate AI rival. And Seattle declares Jimothy summer as an unusually round raccoon with a determined waddle becomes an internet sensation. We take on that and more on our Weekend Review today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And the Cambridge Homes, a nonprofit, independent, and assisted living residence proudly serving the Cambridge community and local seniors for more than 130 years. Learn more at thecambridgehomes.org/tradition.
And New England Recovery Center, providing inpatient addiction treatment in state-of-the-art facilities located in Westboro, Mass. Learn more at newenglandrecoverycenter.org or by calling 1-877-MY-REHAB.
You are listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We're live at the Boston Public Library, streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Well, last week, a couple of rats made headlines after sneaking into South Station Starbucks for presumably an almond biscotti. Honestly, not shocking to most of us Bostonians who've made peace with the rats. Nowhere is that more true than in Allston, a.k.a. Rat City. Always happy to take a joke too far, the residents in Allston have been leaning into their reputation since 2020 with the Rat City Arts Festival. Local artists, musicians, and a brigade of rat rangers, two of whom who are helping keep the studio rat-free for us right now and are with us. The festival officially is Saturday, August 1st. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening in the week leading up, starting on Monday. Somewhere between battling rats and supporting local arts, the folks behind the festival have made way to catch some rats here for us today. The director of the festival is Ricky Mianke, and community rat ranger Lexi Gross is with him. Ricky, Lexi, welcome to the Curiosity Desk. Thank you for that lovely, chaotic start to this segment. How we doing, folks?
Awesome. Good afternoon.
Doing
Thanks
good
for having us.
Hey, there's
wonderful.
a rat right
Hey!
here.
Yeah.
So
Found
Rat
one under the desk.
Rat City, Allston as Rat City. Why do we call Allston Rat City?
Oh man, well, Rat City truly comes from our name of Rock City. We are a festival championing the arts, right? Our neighborhood is known for the arts, known for performances, bands, music, everywhere from a basement to some of our local universities and tons of our local performance halls and spaces. And so that's truly where the name comes from, is this riff of Rock City. And I think, unfortunately, due to the number of rats in the history of our neighborhood, we're doing so much to address it right now, but I think that's kind of maybe where the name comes from in a short answer.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the serious part of this, which is, like, rats are a problem in Allston. Is that right, Lexi? I mean, that's real.
Yeah, rats are a problem, but rats have always been here, or they have been here since we have arrived 400 years ago. In fact, we have some of the oldest rat colonies in the United States. The biggest problem, though, has been and continues to be the lack of proper trash storage, retainers, etc. Rats live on food. That's
really?
all.
Food?
Food. That's it. Our trash.
Who would have thought?
If you take away the food source, the rats will go.
How smart are rats? I hear they're smart. What's your take on it, Lexi?
Well, apparently rats are even smarter than your dogs.
Really?
Yes, because they are also living with us domestically for thousands and thousands of years. However, we don't want them to live with us, so therefore they have to be smarter than the dogs and steal the food.
Gotcha. Ricky, I mean, what's the sort of goal here? Is it to educate people on how to live among rats, or are we trying to get rid of rats? I mean, why can't we just kill them all?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of constraints that take us to that kind of zero factor of rats across our city. First are things like budget. It's very expensive to try to mitigate rats across our entire city. The effort needed to kind of address that problem would be vast. And so if we're very serious about it, sure, I think maybe it could be a possibility. But again, it would just take such a number of resources, both budget in terms of time. And so it becomes challenging, and it might not be able to be an attainable priority. And so that is where maybe that thought is of, are we trying to eradicate the rats to zero, or are we just trying to make sure our neighbors live with dignity with rats somewhere out there in the landscape? Not they are a pest, right? But they're also an animal, part of our environment, and we have to address them as such, like every other animal that you may see across Brighton. Coyotes, turkeys, bunny rabbits, right? They're all part of this ecosystem that we've learned to live with.
But I think, generally speaking, all animals are not equal in terms of how we think of them and how willing we are to live with them. So you point out bunnies. For the most part, I think people are like, well, a bunny's not going to hurt you. They might eat your vegetables in your backyard, but they're not going to get you. I think when somebody looks at a rat, they think, I don't like that. First of all, it might skeeve them out, but they're also worried about diseases and things like that. Is that accurate, Lexi? I mean, should we be worried about rats for our own health and safety?
Oh, absolutely. Should be worried about rats with health. There's leptospirosis, which we may know from our dogs, but rats actually carry leptospirosis. Certain diseases also, come with the rats. However, more importantly, they also carry fleas, as do rabbits too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get back to how to mitigate it. You had talked about that, Ricky, before. We have a terrific program here in the city of Boston called 311. And so, for example, you can report when you see rat sightings. And Ricky and I, we have worked with inspectional services. They have explained to us that they want the citizens to show, please, where have you seen a rat? Take a picture of it. Put it on 311, because then inspectional services, whether it's squished dead or alive,
or
running
dead.
across
Call
the
them a
street,
pancake rat,
they will
pancake
a
rat.
pancake rat.
When they're squished, they're called a pancake rat.
You will be
Pancake rat.
You will be able then to submit that. Inspectional service will come and remove the dead animal, but they will also use that to start doing a heat map in the city of where you have larger colonies. And then they can start monitoring. And what they have done over, I think, Ricky, I can't remember, it was 3 or 4 years, they've created a terrific map within the city so we can best ask for mitigation. It's also human interaction. Please, citizens, when you see a squished pancake rat, when you see a couple of rats eating, if you see an overflown dumpster, take a picture, send it off to 311. We will be able to better take care of the rats here. Plus, also store your food, your trash properly.
Do your role. I mean, you're giving us like a lesson in civic responsibility.
That
here.
is
This
correct.
is great.
Yeah.
You have you have a favorite rat encounter? I mean, do you encounter? Have you got like a crazy rat story?
You know, I think for myself, for the longest time, I was at war with a rat that was getting into our backyard garden. It was eating all the tomatoes, right? I even changed what I was growing. I stopped making tomatoes and peppers and just started growing hot peppers because I just assumed the rats wouldn't want that.
They weren't going to want the hot peppers.
But they would always get into the tomatoes, and so for a while I was using peppermint, mint, so many different things. And it was just challenging to try to catch this rat. And so I was finally able to catch it, but then you start to ask yourself, well, what do you do? And I think that experience was just what so many neighbors feel. You know, they have a rat problem. Maybe they don't want to go and kill a rat, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to, we definitely don't enjoy poison within our communities. We may have to use a snap trap, right? But to contemplate killing a rat is just a decision no one should have to just make in their week or in their day. And so it was just an example of how I had to, again, for multiple weeks, go to war with this rat eating my tomatoes, but then have to decide, how do I do this, right? I'm not going to bring ISD out for one rat that's eating up my garden, but I still had to make this decision of how do I address this rat. And I think so many neighbors do that. My first rat problem in Allston Brighton was I had a rat die in my wall. It smelled up the apartment a good bit, and the landlord just said, well, we'll give you a discount on rent, and the smell will eventually go away. I think so many neighbors have experiences like that where they just have to, unfortunately, live amongst the rats and learn what it means to do so. That's why we enjoy that kind of thought of the name Rat City. That's what brings us all together, because we all have some similar rat experiences that we could maybe do nothing about, unfortunately, but we just have to enjoy it.
You say you don't want chemicals in the community, so rodenticides, this is something we don't like as a solution.
Sure.
You're giving me a dirty look, Lexi.
No. I'm giving you a look where I don't really know the answer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like Brookline right now is trying, there are various communities here that are trying to do mitigation through birth control, which, as Ricky just said, it's financially very, very difficult.
Yeah.
When you kill a whole entire colony, these colonies are like little apartment buildings. I don't know how deep you've gone into rat
Have
stories.
you seen a rat den before?
Have you seen a rat den?
Have you
They're
gone
incredible.
into one?
No, I've not gone in and seen one in
we've
person,
crawled in
no.
a few.
Well,
You
we
have
have. We've
on purpose?
Well, we can shrink ourselves.
We're doing the Rat Ranger work.
That's that's our superpower.
It's part of the job.
It's part of the job.
It's part of the job. What can you do now? My producer's in my ear telling me you have a couple of quiz questions for me. I didn't know this was coming. They like to try to drop a quiz on me from time to time. Let's do a couple, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about the festival.
Of course. That sounds great.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I would say first question is, what is the best way to reduce rats in your neighborhood?
Best way to go ahead. Oh, I got multiple choice.
We got multiple choice,
Go
which
ahead.
I'm assuming I have to read off, right? I can't give you, nothing here. But first, put out poison, A. B, feed stray animals. C, eliminate food, water, and shelter. Or D, get a bigger cat.
I mean, D actually seems like the most practical to me, but I'm going to guess the answer I'm supposed to give is C.
C, it is.
Hey!
Bravo! Water and shelter. All right.
All right.
Definitely great. Takeaway number 2 for
take
us.
number 2 as a mom. How many babies can one female rat have in a year?
Oh.
Their gestation time, I'll give you a hint,
Yep.
is 23 to 26 days.
So, okay, so they can, 23 to 26 days, that's a little bit under a month. Let's say they're not going to do it. They need some sort of rest period. But then how many are they having at once? Is it 1-to-1? I don't know. So let's say they can get pregnant, 6 times a year, and then let's say they have a couple each time. I'm going to say 25.
25. 50 to 70.
Oh, 50 to 70. So this gives us a sense of why the problem can get out of hand pretty quickly. If you've got 50 to 70 baby rats coming just
Very
from
easily.
one rat
Correct.
every year, obviously it's something that can get out of control.
Yeah. I have a question not on the list. I'm going to surprise you with a question.
Going rogue.
In what neighborhood
Yes.
hailed the only winner of Boston's rat catching competition in 1917? What neighborhood was the winner from?
1970. First of all, I want you to tell me about this 1917 rat catching competition. I'm interested in that. But I'm going to say, given the pride I see on both of your faces, the fact that we're talking to you and you are beating the drum for Allston, I'm going to say Allston is the neighborhood that person was from.
Yeah.
Hey,
Allston, so
all right.
In 1917, a Mr. Rimkus from Allston Brighton caught over 200 rats. He won a chest of $150 at the time.
A chest?
Maybe not a physical chest, right?
In a chest
maybe
and said,
1917 did
here
things
is your
differently,
money,
I guess.
sir.
We got to get a chest for the festival, right?
We do.
But no, I'm sure it was put in some sort of envelope or handed to Mr. Rimkus. But yeah, caught over 200 rats. So just a little piece of the history of Boston hosting a rat catching competition.
Annually.
Yeah, and then just a winner from our neighborhood. So it's great to see us not only celebrating ways to kind of reduce the rat population, but knowing that we have this history through our neighborhood's blood that we kind of hopefully will continue to celebrate.
You are listening to the Curiosity Desk. We're talking with Ricky Mienke and Lexi Gross about rats and the Rat City Arts Festival in Austin. Speaking of that, tell us about the festival. When does it start? What happens?
Yeah, so the festival this year is Saturday, August 1st from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Charles River Speedway. So during this festival, you're going to see about 15 bands and performers, about 7 on our main stage, which are a little more robust bands. And then we have an artist alley where we house all of our vendors, our kind of artist market. We will have maybe some solo artists of different genres in that space as well. We will have a range of raffles, ways to get engaged. We will have our Rat Rangers present, and just a range of neighbors looking to just celebrate local artists. I know we enjoy, the rats, and we utilize this rat terminology within our festival, but we're truly here for the artists of our neighborhood and looking to support them and celebrate them across the city of Boston.
Lexi, as a rat ranger, when you are not in festival mode, which we are right now, the festival's coming up, but what does a rat ranger do? What is the role?
Well, what is the role? Besides supporting our local artists and helping here with the Rat City Arts Festival, I really take it upon myself to look around and see where we do have rat problems. Mainly, unfortunately, are from our wonderful businesses who don't have the proper dumpsters, for example. The dumpsters get overflown. As simple as maybe perhaps upping our trash days twice a week in certain areas that are hard. As a rat ranger, I certainly do report violations. I also try to do and educate people, especially our young students. It's not the
How do you educate them? Do you go to schools, or do you?
When we talk to them, we also, at the Rat Festival, we also do run rat tours. In fact, is it next Thursday?
Yes.
We will be doing a rat tour down in Allston,
yeah,
right?
July.
And what
30th
happens on a
Thursday.
rat tour?
So, one of the thoughts and reason why we created the Rat Rangers is ISD does amazing work in our communities. They do great engagement. But for the community of younger, say, renters, artists, folks who are working throughout the day, they might not be able to take advantage of those rat walks or inspections that they have during the day. So we started to host a summer rat walk leading up to our festival at 8 p.m., a little more accessible for our community. And so this year, on July 30th, Thursday, at 8 p.m., we're going to be hosting a rat walk. If you go to our Instagram, Rat City Arts Festival, you'll be able to find appropriate links to RSVP, get the correct information. And during that walk, you'll not only be able to maybe bear witness to some of the rat issues we have, but Maybe how do we ensure proper garbage collection? How do we talk about how does construction support maybe rats living in our community? And so we really just go across our neighborhood landscape and teach and educate the neighbors who participate about how to make it better to stop rats.
Excellent stuff. We've been speaking with Ricky Mienke and Lexi Gross from the Rat City Arts Festival in Austin. It's coming at you next week. Whole thing's free, but you can RSVP and get all sorts of information at ratcityartsfestival.com. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you for
on
having
the Curiosity Desk.
Bravo.
And Edgar, I think I also have a gift for you. I'm so sorry. Maybe if we could just be handed. So one of our projects is we beautify these local rat bait box traps.
Oh, amazing.
This one's from you, from a local artist, Sadie Saunders.
Oh, this is awesome.
A wonderful artist here from our neighborhood who created one of these beautiful traps.
We'll put this on our Curiosity trunk.
That's for you to keep. Yeah. And so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. When we return, we look at 3 decades of the long and winding roadshow. Antiques Roadshow, how the 24-time Emmy Award-nominated series has managed to keep getting dusty in its 30th season. It's the Curiosity Desk. I'm Edgar. Don't go anywhere.
The Philharmonic Orchestra blends hip-hop and classical music. Performing with an all-black ensemble, they've played some of the most famous venues in the U.S., describing their show as a house party and a concert hall.
It was really important for us to show that these two genres are not as completely different as people think they are, and really important for people to see themselves reflected.
I'm Juana Summers. Our conversation on All Things Considered from NPR News.
Today at 4, here on GBH News 89.7.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And MIT Federal Credit Union. Banking built on innovation. Guided by real people. Memberships open to the public. More at mitfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA. And Cornerstone at Canton, an assisted living community with wellness, care, and support services designed to help seniors age in place, including a Compass Memory Support Neighborhood. CornerstoneCanton.com.
You are listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We are live at the Boston Public Library, and we are streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Well, cast your mind back. The year was 1996. Bill Clinton was president. #1 movie in America was Independence Day. Our producer, Aiden, was in diapers. Also in 1996, GBH and PBS launched a humble television program called Antiques Roadshow. Who would have thought that decades later, the series would be receiving its 24th Emmy nomination? Well, here to share some behind-the-scenes magic and reflect on why we can't get enough of watching everyday people try to make money off their junk. We are joined by 2 people integral to the show, Antiques Roadshow executive producer Marsha Bemko and longtime appraiser specializing in military history, Joel Bohy. Marsha, Joel, welcome to the Curiosity Desk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marsha, 24 nominations, but no wins yet. Who do we have to bribe? What do we have to do to get a win?
You tell me. Like, I wish I knew, because this is the thing. I'm really glad we're nominated. When I first started voting and we got the first nomination 24 years ago, you voted with mail, like you put a stamp on the envelope and mailed it in.
Yeah.
And it was a list of programs like this long. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, of course, you do everything online.
Yep.
And it's pages and pages of shows. So the fact that we're in that nominated list feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too bad. All right,
Yeah.
I want to play a little sound. We're going to go way back. We just talked about 1996. We have a little sound from the first ever aired appraisal on the first episode of the American edition of Antiques Roadshow. So let's have a listen right now to the very first moment that the Roadshow was doing the Roadshow thing.
The only thing I do know is it was handed down from family to family.
This was the first and best American kaleidoscope.
Oh, really?
Made by a company called Bush. It was made in Providence, Rhode Island, in the 1870s. This kaleidoscope is worth around $1,500.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is wonderful to hear.
So you really have quite a treasure.
What goes through your mind hearing that, Marsha?
What's so great for me as I've been doing the show for 26 of its 31 years.
That's crazy.
Is that we're making a show called Vintage First Finds now. We're making 6 shows like that. I just learned in editing a show that Kaleidoscope was the first appraisal aired.
Really?
And wait till you see this thing. It needs a candle to light up the lens from behind. It has ampules in it, like the little ampules you see, and it looks really cool. So what do I think of that? I think we're still cool.
You're listening to The Curiosity Desk. We're talking with Marsha Bemko and Joel Bohy about 30 years of Antiques Roadshow. Well, Joel, I mean, everybody's seen at least a little bit of Roadshow. And, you know, the star of the show really, I mean, there's a couple stars of the show in my estimation. One is just the objects that come in. But the other are these amazing appraisers, like of whom you are one. What is like your role on the show? What's it like doing this, and why do you do it?
So it is actually a lot of fun. It's a long day.
Yeah.
But we get to see hundreds, if not thousands, of people come in with their stuff. And sometimes the things they bring are fantastic. And sometimes they're just things. And they brought them to get onto the show.
Yeah.
So we get to see a lot of average, everyday things. But then what makes it great, because it's a long day for Marsha, the rest of the team, and for us, is when that gem comes up and they put it on the table and your heart just starts to beat. And you can't say anything.
Why?
Because we have to pitch it to Marsha.
Okay,
and the
so
other producers.
so let's go behind the scenes a little bit, because I don't know that. I mean, most people obviously don't know how it works. So I mean, you mentioned already it's a long day. What makes it a long day?
What makes it a long day is we're going to see about 3,000 people with 2 objects each.
So you're in some spot you're at whatever city you're at.
Yep.
You've got a space where you're doing it, and you've got 3,000 people who are coming in over a course of how many hours?
The first ticket holders will come in at 7:30, but then we also have something called producer picks, where we pick out 15 items from things people have sent to us.
Yeah.
And they start showing up like at 6:30.
Crazy.
And so we show up at 6. Some people show up a little bit before us. You show up a little bit later.
I show up at 6 every morning.
Yeah,
I take
6.
a 5:30 shuttle. I want to get there early.
Wow.
And then we eat. And then, because we got to have breakfast.
Yeah, you do
know,
have
you
to. I
gotta
mean,
have
you've got
breakfast.
to. You need
So
fuel.
how the day goes is most people who come to Antiques Roadshow, good stuff is rare. That's the one thing good stuff has in common, is that it's rare.
Yeah.
So most people who come to Roadshow, they go up to the militaria table, and Joel tells them they have
absolutely nothing with a smile on my face.
You have a nice looking piece of junk here.
No, and we do it with a smile,
Of course.
and because a lot of people, like I said, are there for the experience. But then there's that great thing, and you have to look at it. You have to think about it. You can't say too much, and then we have to ask the person if they own it.
Yeah.
And then we have to call for a producer.
So if you're the one with the expertise, Joel, and you see something that really stands out, you go, "Oh, this is a thing." You flag a producer down and say, "Hey, I think I got something." So it's like fishing. It's like you're fishing
total
all day
fishing.
long.
And I'm one of 4 producers running around because they're pitching all day long. I just have to mention that they volunteer their time. They collectively spend about $1 million a season because they pay their own hotel nights, they pay their own airfare, so they do a lot for public television.
Yeah.
And if they don't get taped, if they don't at least get taped, there's no chance that they can even be cut, because we're not going to use everything we tape even.
Right.
So they pitch, really good stories, what they hope are good stories. Not always about the money.
I was just going
to
to ask, in all the years of doing it, I mean, Marsha, you've been at it for 20 plus years. You've been with the show for 10 or something
13,
like that, right? 13, Joel. So what have you learned about what is the thing that makes an object worth talking about, worth pitching, worth putting on the air?
So for me, when I look at it now, and I made the mistake of pitching stuff, and they'd come over and they go, you don't want to do this. And you didn't get it. But now, we look at the items and we look for, the value, but we also look for the human story and what the people know who have the item, because we want to be telling them new things, things that they didn't have an idea about. So we try to run those through our head without saying anything. We pitch, Marsha or another producer comes over, and then I have to pitch it to her. Then she goes and talks to the person with the item, and then she'll come back and she'll say yes or no.
Yeah.
And then we go in the waiting list to get filmed.
Wow. I'm being told that you got a story about a cannonball that I'm supposed to ask you about, Joel.
So at Salt Lake City, Utah, we have a lot of cannonballs, things like that come up, and they're very easy to appraise. And this one came up, and I figured it was just going to be a simple story. But the woman put it on the table, and her went through the ancestor who had fired that cannonball into a barn in Philippi, West Virginia, and hit a Confederate cavalryman in the leg and took his leg almost all the way off.
Whoa.
And that he was later saved by a doctor from Ohio. And it turned out that that cannonball, purportedly, if the story's right, hit my ancestor. So
what?
Yeah.
Small world.
That's
nuts. In
Yeah.
Salt Lake City, Utah, and she had driven it from Denver, Colorado. So
And then you were like, "This piece is worthless."
Well, no, I mean it was great. I mean, it was a $75 item, but the story with it. But she didn't happen to own it. It was her friend's.
Oh,
so
wow,
we
yeah.
couldn't pitch it and get it on the air because, again, there's no value to that. But the story and the fact that we both happened to be there with that item
That's wild.
in Salt Lake City, Utah, was just absolutely crazy.
Magical. Yeah. Marsha, have there been bumps along the way over the years? I mean, it seems like such a well-oiled machine. I mean, it's such a, you watch the show. It is so reliable. It is so reliably exactly what it is. But I got to imagine it can't be easy to pull it off. You've had to have some challenges along the way.
We've had challenges. I think the biggest challenge for us is when we left the convention centers to go to distinctive outdoor historic locations. And the shows look a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a challenge, though. Producers, as you know, we like people to throw stuff at us and tell us to do something that we think can't be done.
Yeah.
We're kind of sick like that.
And then also, and by the way, do it with no extra budget, right?
Exactly.
You're like, great, a challenge.
Yeah. So those kinds of challenges have been great, and we've also learned a lot by making the show over the years. The fact is that we've introduced Adam Monahan, who does our podcast.
Fantastic podcast.
It's fantastic. He introduced the idea of something called snapshots. So when you watch Roadshow now, you see these quickie moments, and if you see him walking around with his gear on, invented by him, he's like the snapshot machine.
Yeah.
Faster paced shows. That's the kind of lessons we've learned. The challenges of keeping all of our audiences interested, but what's at the heart of the show hasn't changed.
Which is what? What's at the heart of the show?
We're going to help you understand more about material culture. And while you're learning that, you can't help but be interested in the time where it sat.
Yeah.
And so here's this thing from 1865. That's the stuff you like. And
earlier.
And earlier. Revolutionary War. That's his thing. Rev War, as he calls it.
You're in the right town for that.
Yeah, he is. So that's the magic of the show.
Magic.
That's the magic of the show.
The other thing I think, before I was at GBH, you hear the name Antiques Roadshow, and obviously I knew the show, and I think I had you sort of, I guess, get that, oh, you're going on the road and you go from place to place, but I don't think until I was at GBH I really realized it is every summer you go to a number of cities, you take the show on the road and you go to these places. It seems to me, from where I sit at GBH, that there's a very unique culture among the folks who go. Like, I hear you guys party pretty hard when you rap.
Never.
I mean,
I'm
the
boss, so I don't know anything
heard about karaoke. I've heard about poker games.
I know
is
nothing.
This stuff
No.
true?
It is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Anyone who travels for television knows this. What goes on the road stays on the road. It's good, innocent fun. These are family people.
Yes.
And after you're done, we want you to play safe. But yet we're tight.
Yeah.
Some of us had married each other.
That's crazy.
And so we're a tight crew. We've been through a lot together. And when you work with people over the years, and some people I work with have been there a little longer than me. Watch them get married, you watch them have children, and suddenly you're like this.
Yeah.
And the intellectual discovery of the day, when you go to one of those dinners on after the show, and Joel is at it, and he's there with paintings experts and jewelry experts,
Yeah.
you know what happens? they are the biggest geeks you've ever had dinner with, okay?
It's true. But you learn, right?
It's the most interesting dinner you have ever been to. It's so good.
It sounds like you got a spin-off show on your hands. The dinners after the road show. That I would watch that show.
Oh, more hours of work that day? Okay.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We've been speaking with Antiques Roadshow executive producer Marsha Bemko and appraiser Joel Bohy. Thank you both for being with us on the Curiosity Desk. Catch Antiques Roadshow Mondays at 8 on GBH. There's always the special content, some of which Marsha was talking about, at youtube.com/Antiques Roadshow. Also, if you're looking for a good summer read, Joel's new book, Bullet Strikes from the First Day of the American Revolution. Check that one out. As for us, that about does it for now. Curiosity Desk, produced by Aidan Connolly, Rachel Armani, Olivia Corcio, and Hannah Loss. Our intern is Mukta Dharmapurikar. Patty Daniels and Jamie Bologna are priceless to us, but we'll insure them for, say, $650,000. Our engineer, John the Claw Parker. Special thanks to everybody down here at the library, the Newsfeed Cafe, Darius and Derek. Callie Crossley with The Culture Show coming up next. I got to get out of here. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Stay curious out there.
What's trending? What's interesting? What's going on around town? We're talking all things arts and culture on The Culture Show, next on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Cambridge Trust, a division of Eastern Bank, offering business and personal wealth management and private banking services, investing more than $240 million in local communities since 1994. More at cambridgetrust.com. From hidden dumpling shops to boundary-pushing artisan bites, this James Beard award-winning series spotlights the chefs shaping the food scene. Watch Food Curated tomorrow at 2:30 on GBH2.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Culture Show News Desk, I'm Henry Santoro. It was a bit of a chaotic scene last night at New York's Madison Square Garden. Veteran rocker John Bon Jovi was 90 minutes into his 8th of 9 sold-out concerts when all of a sudden he said he had to cancel the rest of the show.
Don't throw away your ticket stubs. We'll figure out how to reschedule. All right? But I'm going to have to prove it for you.
A spokesperson for JBJ has confirmed the 64-year-old rock star has been battling a sinus infection, forcing an early end to his 8th show of the residency. The much-anticipated Forever Tour marked the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer's return to the stage since having vocal surgery in 2022. The band has been playing hit after hit after hit during these MSG shows.
Unless Pat Monahan wants to come up here and help.
And last night he was then joined on stage by Pat Monahan, lead singer for the band Train, who was the opening act. And with the help of the crowd, well, they did a duet of Living on a Prayer. Bon Jovi told the crowd to hold on to their ticket stubs while the band finds a date to reschedule. He did, however, manage to get through 90 minutes and 14 songs before calling it quits. The final show of the residency is set for this Sunday. And that's this edition of the GBH News Weekly Friday Afternoon Culture Cast. I'm Henry Santoro. Next up, The Culture Show, Week in Review, hosted by Callie Crossley. Sneaking Callie through the alley. Live at the Boston Public Library.
I'm Callie Crossley. Coming up on The Culture Show, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is a cultural event, sending moviegoers on their own Odyssey to find rare 70mm IMAX screenings, and readers back to Homer through Emily Wilson's celebrated translation. Now Elon Musk is entering the Trojan War, vowing to make a historically accurate version of Homer's tale by using artificial intelligence. Then if the Met is America's Louvre, Has the Louvre become France's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum? Months after the heist, the Apollo Gallery is open again, but the crown jewels are still missing, and even their display cases are gone. Like the empty frames left for Boston's stolen Rembrandts and Vermeer, the gallery is now defined by what isn't there. And the World Cup runneth over. FIFA staged its first ever halftime show. Close to 63 million Americans tuned in for a record audience. And Donald Trump photobombed Spain's trophy celebration, only for FIFA to crop him out of the official victory picture. But Lizzo takes command of the frame, making her Sports Illustrated cover debut and declaring herself sexy, fat, and fabulous, a portrait of confidence on her own terms. We take on all that and more right now on our Weekend Review.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Welcome to the Culture Show, live from the Boston Public Library on 89.7 GBH and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. I'm Culture Show co-host Callie Crossley. Jared Bowen is away.
I'm Joyce Kulhawik.
And I'm Lisa Simmons.
We're going over the week's top arts and culture headlines, starting with Christopher Nolan riding the stormy waves of the movie industry to box office and blockbuster success with The Odyssey. Moviegoers have ventured on an Odyssey all their own, with only 41 theaters worldwide able to show The Odyssey in 70mm IMAX. Folks are crossing state lines and oceans to see it at full scale, bringing IMAX a record $52 million over opening weekend. But let's start with the general fever for The Odyssey, Joyce.
It just won't
crazy,
quit.
isn't it?
It's not going to quit.
It is not going to quit.
Nor should it.
Exactly,
Yes.
nor should it. I mean, and there's even a halo effect to this thing around Nolan and other thematically related movies. Troy and Interstellar. Troy was not directed by Nolan, but it was directed by Wolfgang Petersen. But it's about the Iliad, all right? And Interstellar.
Another
that is
Homer
what-
poem, we should
Exactly,
say.
another
Okay.
Homer, Homer epic of. They both, Interstellar and Troy, both saw a huge surge and re-entered the top 10 streaming charts just as part of this overflow effect.
No, I mean, I think it's amazing. I think you're seeing it in libraries. You're seeing it in book clubs. People are going back to the text. I mean, I think, you know, it's really interesting that Nolan decided to do this, right, to shoot on IMAX, even though there's only 41 places, and I think it's actually 25 that have both IMAX and 70mm. So for me, the question becomes is, you know, we want everyone to see this in large scale, right? But it's not that everyone can't. So is there a question of access here that most people aren't going to be able to see it like that? So as a film lover and as a person who curates a film festival, I want to see it like that. But now we don't have to drive to Providence, but it also becomes this tourism thing, right, Joyce?
Well, ironically...
Well, just to correct, you only go to Providence or the other 40-some theaters if you want to see 70mm and IMAX.
Right.
But many other theaters have 70mm.
The Coolidge.
So the Coolidge sold out.
Yeah.
All last weekend they sold out. Yeah.
So this made me think about why this is such a huge hit. Apparently, more than half of the ticket sales were made back in the first weekend.
That's right.
And it's because people did spend money to go see it in
absolutely.
premium theaters. And that if you didn't see it that way, in this elevated movie-going way, you felt like you had FOMO. You were missing out. So that gamble paid off,
It totally
even though
paid
this
off.
was enormously expensive and difficult to shoot. They made this back because they counted on people not being willing to wait to see this at home. They knew people, or they hoped people would go to the theaters to see a very special, immersive experience, and they did.
And that's what people want now. They want the experience. We talked about this last week, Callie, about how, you are creating this thing that is not something that to be watched on your 75-inch TV, or even if you have a projector at home. It's something to be watched in a group of people and watching it communally and giving people that opportunity. So no, he knew exactly what he was doing, but he's also a purist, right? He is a purist in the sense of movie making, and did not want this to be a digital type of film. He needed it to be on analog, and so this was the best way to create that. And unfortunately, those theaters aren't everywhere, but just think about it's an art in and of itself, which is what Nolan does, right? He creates an art in and of itself.
Just another note about the feverishness of it, the height of it. In Los Angeles, at the Regal LA Live Cinema, they had to call the cops because the guy had watched it and would not leave. He wanted to see it again. And so, of course, they couldn't start because everybody else is waiting to start, and they had to literally physically move him out of there.
I got to say, I love this. Who would have thought that Homer would be this popular? But, that brings
Homer's
me...
always been popular.
Well,
right?
that brings me to the fact...
Not at the movies, necessarily.
Lisa, you mentioned that this is sending people back to Homer, but paperback sales of Emily Wilson's translation are up nearly 40% from last year, pushing its total U.S. sales across all editions past 1 million copies. Now, what I want to say about that is that Nolan used a variety of translations to write his own script, but he name dropped her in one of his interviews as one translation that he used, and she's the only woman that's ever done a translation in 2017. It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, I think it's brilliant, and I think he also said that he took so much of the opening line, of the Odyssey that she writes, tell me about I'm going to tell you about basically a complicated man, where Fagel's Talks says, sing to me the man muse, a man of twists and turns. So here she's taking it and putting it in sort of like this easy to read English. And when she talks about the complications and the complicated man of Odysseus, that's exactly what Nolan was like. That's what I want this to be about. It's not about him being a hero. It's about him grappling with all of these moral issues and issues of war, and how does he come back home, and how does somebody come back home when they've been gone for such a long period of time. And I haven't seen it yet. I know both of you have seen it.
Yeah.
But
yes.
And apparently
there's
that's
also
the feeling.
A feminist flavor,
right,
that she brings to it.
She brings to it. Yes.
But
which
I
is
think,
brilliant.
It's very interesting to me, and it's no accident that Nolan would have gravitated toward the Wilson translation, because it is so accessible. And it is argued, and I believe this to be true, because it is, the same number of lines, and it is rhythmic. It's not dactylic hexameter. It is iambic pentameter, which is a lot more accessible to the English ear. But she also preserves the sense of what the Greek language is. She eliminates a lot of the 18th and 19th century translations, which were pejorative, which were patriarchal, which were negative, that embodied certain kinds of Victorian values. She strips all of that out, and I think gets back to the heart and soul and opens it up to what maybe the real poem, the original poem was, which is exactly what Nolan wanted to do in the film. Mission accomplished.
I just want to know where this rendition was when I had to read the
2017.
Because that was
tough. She just did it in 2017.
I know, that's what I mean.
She wasn't born until the 70s.
Right, so there you go. Also, the guy who did the graphic novel, Gareth Hines, his novel is going through the roof, and audio book sales are going through the roof.
Yes,
just want to point at that.
It's amazing.
Now, after attacking Christopher Nolan's casting choices, Elon Musk has vowed that his Grok Imagine AI will produce a full-length version of the Odyssey before the end of 2026. That means December of this year. One he promises will be historically accurate and faithful to Homer. I'm just going to say this and let you two jump on it afterwards. Historically accurate in a work of fiction, which involves some cyclops and a few sirens and a couple other monsters. Just saying.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean,
this is culturally illiterate. The guy is an idiot. He's like, to me, a one-eyed Polyphemus, right? Looking at this vast work of ancient, semi-historical fiction. Troy was real, Helen was not.
Yes.
And all of its archetypal themes, one-dimensionally, as if it always has to be produced endlessly this way. So no more modern dress Hamlet, No more white actors speaking in inflated English accents in Roman times. No more white Jesus. No more white Cleopatra. No, I mean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And nobody wants an AI digitally rendered Odyssey after this masterpiece of analog filmmaking.
But this is the thing, right? So this is going to come out in December. By that time, all of this hype and everything that, that he's like riding on and he thinks that the AI is going to ride on is going to be relevant. I mean, the thing is that, Musk is always responding to whatever is dominant in the cultural ecosystem, right? So here we have the Odyssey, the biggest thing. He's going to grab onto that because he has an AI company that he needs to promote. That here's the perfect opportunity. I'm going to make the Odyssey through AI. Okay, so now what he's basically doing is also that shifting that narrative around filmmaking and how filmmaking can be connected with AI, and now people, it's sort
not
of like
connected. He wants it to take over.
He wants it to take over. So why not use the Odyssey when we're in this situation right now to actually do that? So there's
no
all
way
these,
AI is even going to begin to approximate the visceral response that people have had to this. All I'm telling you is to remember those dead-eyed dwarves in Snow White. Okay?
Well,
they should have been real people, real actors.
I know. It'll be very interesting to see.
Now, we don't need AI doing this.
Of course
we need AI doing grunt work, computation, analysis. We don't need AI doing creative work.
I just want to add that he has also said he's going to support a live-action film directed by Mel Gibson. And Mel Gibson says he's going to do the Homeric Greek and be faithful to the poem's original dialogue. Okay, let's see how many people are rushing to the theater.
I'm interested in, actually. That I'm kind of interested in.
I'm not doing 3 hours of that.
Well,
it's like
I love a long movie.
Like doing it in
nope.
I'm a Dances with Wolves kind of girl.
Well, yeah, but,
Hey, Lakota. No, I think that's okay. I'm curious to see what Mr. Mel Gibson will do.
And a lot of people with regard to Elon Musk are saying he just didn't like the casting of black folk and trans folk, period.
I mean,
and that's where he's coming from.
But that's where we know. But there's always another motive, and I think it's this big AI motive, and he wants to put Grok on top of things when it has had some trouble, and the Odyssey seems like the best way for him to do that at this particular point.
It's kind of crazy. All right. In Egypt, archaeologists found a 1,600-year-old mummy with a scrap of Homer's Iliad tucked inside its wrappings. The first known case of a Greek literary text being used in a mummification ritual. This is really interesting.
It was interesting to me because I thought, why are they speaking Greek in ancient Egypt? And then I did some research and I realized that it was Alexander the Great who conquered Egypt. And then they ruled for 300 years, but Greek took hold amongst the elite.
Yes.
And so this mummy, whoever he or she was, apparently admired Homer. It was a central, piece of work in that canon. Or this was a piece of packing material. That was the...
I think it's more deliberate than packing material.
It totally was more deliberate than that. I mean, I think it is really interesting, and this is the whole thing, right? All of these things, the Odyssey, the Iliad, it's all coming back, and people are doing research, and people are taking a look at things. This to me is fascinating because this wasn't just like, oh, let's put the book in the tomb and close it up. This was actually part of the mummification. This was actually part of it. And so ancient Egyptians believed that objects and words had power, right? And so there was this whole, and this was the Iliad. This was the war. This was the
it was just one page.
I know,
but
it was still about sort of like taking that
with summary
and wanting to take it with me to be protected. To be protected. I mean, I think that it's not something that just happened. I think that there were rituals involved. I think that we don't know if this guy was a captain or person, or we have no idea. But it's fascinating that a piece of the Iliad shows up in this mummification of someone in the 4th century BC because Alexander the Great did conquer Egypt, and then all of that became, Greek became the language. It became everything.
Well, let me put a button on it this way and say, this is like a New York Times best-selling author with 2 hits on the list. That's how I'm looking at it.
Go Homer!
No. Coming up, now you see him, now you don't, now you do. How Donald Trump's World Cup photobomb became a battle of the edits, with FIFA cropping him out and the White House putting him right back in. That's next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund. proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Next time on In Common, rowers are sprinting to the beach. A preview of a new Olympic event on the Massachusetts coast. And CAI brings back a groundbreaking reporting project from 20 years ago.
I was about 30 when I moved to Cape Cod in 2005 and started gathering the voices and stories that would haunt me for a lifetime.
All that and more on In Common. Listen Saturday at 2 on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Morningside Music Bridge, returning to Boston. The summer program shines a spotlight on young classical musicians from around the world, with concerts now through August 7th at New England Conservatory. mmb.international. And 360 Public Relations, for 25 years committed to helping brands connect and grow through culturally relevant storytelling, thought leadership, influencer marketing, and more. Learn more at 360pr.plus. And Newport Mansions, presenting Revolution Reimagined, a new exhibit at Rosecliff exploring Newport, Rhode Island's role in the American Revolution and how later generations reshaped the city's collective memory. NewportMansions.org.
Your community, your news, your favorite station.
It's all on the new GBH News app.
Download it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome back to the Culture Show, live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. I'm co-host Callie Crossley. Jared Bowen is away. I'm joined by Culture Show contributors Lisa Simmons and Joyce Kulhawik. Lisa Simmons is the artistic and executive director of the Roxbury International Film Festival and program manager at Mass Cultural Council. Joyce Kulhawik is an Emmy Award-winning arts and entertainment reporter, president of the Boston Theater Critics Association, and you can find her reviews at joyceschoices.com. Well, if you're just tuning in, we're running through the latest arts and culture headlines, including FIFA's big swing at Super Bowl-style spectacle. Its first ever World Cup final halftime show, co-headlined by Madonna, Justin Bieber, Shakira, and BTS, drew plenty of attention and wildly mixed reviews. Mm-hmm. So let's just stop there for a second and say a lot of people thought it was too much and a little bit too Americanized. You know, fun, but what's going on?
It didn't bother me that it was Americanized in a certain way. I mean, I thought the selection of artists was pretty global, from BTS to Shakira to the Muppets, Gustavo Dudamel, Madonna.
Well, speaking of Madonna, let's hear a little bit of her. So she's singing here, performing the song Music off of her 2000 record of the same name. She performed at the halftime show of the World Cup Finals. Now, by all accounts, she did a great performance.
Yeah.
People were excited. Yeah, no, Madonna.
Right. No, I mean, I think, you know. All right. So we're trying to get world people to understand, like, love soccer, and the World Cup is such a beautiful way to bring everyone together. And I think that, you know, true soccer fans are like, no, the whole entertainment of soccer, football is about the game. It's about the fans. It's about people coming together from other countries. It's about unity, right? And so here you have this thing that's sort of like imported and commercial spectacle that comes in, and you have people like Justin Bieber doing one song. No one really got to showcase whatever they were doing. And so, I mean, but what does it come down to? It's all about money, right? It's all about how you can take this global brand and even, in front of 1 billion people and get other people interested in the game. And that's what really it's all about. It's really about bringing in those younger generations, bringing in different audiences, and a halftime spectacular show is going to do that. So,
I mean, I know people objected to it because they thought it was copying the Super Bowl, and it was a big corporate grab for ratings, but part of the mission really was to include more of the globe in this game.
Yes.
So, and I thought the selections, I thought the talent was terrific, and I do think the Muppets had way more energy than Madonna.
Well,
she was like strapped to that car with someone hanging on to her, and I think it was all lip synced, whatever. But no, I think the soccer fans were being a little too precious about that. I mean, I thought it was fine, and it was curated by Coldplay's Chris Martin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was. So here's the thing: 63 million U.S. viewers turned in to watch Spain defeat Argentina. It's a record American audience for a World Cup final. And speaking of the Muppets, ahead of the World Cup final festivities, Maverick met a Muppet, Tom Cruise, at a brief confab with fellow movie star Kermit the Frog. Let's hear a little bit of their interaction.
What are you doing? What am I doing? You get a parachute in? Oh man. Rappel. Is that what you're going to do? Light yourself on fire. I wish that I could. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to come in. I'm going to rappel, parachute, and then I'm going to light myself on fire. Good grief. You sound like Gonzo. Then I'm going to jump into a small bucket to put myself out. That was amazing. I cannot wait to see it. You would be great on the Muppet Show.
I mean, it was brilliant, actually, to bring the Muppets on. Talk about generational, bringing in a whole other generation of people.
That's part of the enthusiasm, I think, of the Americans' renewed interest.
Yes.
And revived interest, if there was a level of interest, a foundational interest in the game itself. So one of the things that just fascinated me was this remarkable photograph taken in 2000 when a 20-year-old Lionel Messi helped bathe 5-month-old Lamine Yamal during a UNICEF charity shoot. This is years before the baby became a star in his own right. Now, if you've not been paying attention, Lamine Yamal was on the winning Spain team. They played Lionel Messi's team from Argentina. Lamine Yamal is 19 now, and Messi 39. And here is this incredible photograph. And now you look at the 19-year-old Lamine Yamal, if you're here at the library at home on YouTube, of him washing the trophy. But what a cute baby he was, by the way.
Oh, my gosh.
What are the chances of that? That is crazy.
That was so extraordinary to me. I saw that picture, and I couldn't really believe it. That is something almost paranormal, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, that you have Lionel Messi holding the future in his arms.
And his future opponent.
Exactly. And on the same field at the same time, and when they embraced, that's all I could think of. And that baby was way cuter than that ugly trophy. I thought all the soccer trophies were hideous.
I think it's incredible. I think it's amazing. It's almost Shakespearean in a way. It's almost like this, the old king meets the young prince and has no idea, and it's sort of like we're looking into the future. I mean, the thing about the game too is it's not about this rivalry, right? It's really about this love of the game, and I think that we experienced that when Messi was like, "This is your game now." Basically, when they won, when Spain won, when he said to Yamal, like, "You're the next generation," and really that's what this game is. And I think that people embraced it too. I think Americans really embraced it. We had it here in the U.S. because it was joyful. It was so joyful, and it's what we needed right now. And we saw, when we talked about because when the Scots came, everyone was just in a really good mood. It just brought people together in a way that I don't think American football does, right? Or any of our teams
not
actually
at this
do.
point anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
well,
and
not
so I think-
globally, but certainly the Super Bowl does draw a lot of
so
eyes.
I think that,
So-
you know, it's sort of like you saw the future. And this, I love that the photographer was like, who had any idea? We did this for UNICEF. We did it because we wanted the
so
players
crazy.
to show that the players had this humanity. And talk about someone who has humanity. Messi is an amazing player, is an amazing person. And he actually, you know, went against the odds. Everyone thought he was too small, that he wasn't going to be able to play. You know, so
and
here
this was his last game,
yes,
perhaps?
yes,
So
probably.
at
He
that
hasn't
moment,
said exactly.
to
been
have,
incredible.
and if that in fact was the moment, I think it was you who said, Lisa, Shakespearean.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
It
they
is.
had met before.
Right.
I mean, if you had written this, you'd say, yeah, well, that doesn't
that's
happen
what I
in
said.
real
I
life.
said to myself, could Homer have written this?
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
really
It
crazy.
is going to be a Disney movie, I'm
Yes.
sure.
All right. Well, you could also not write this. Speaking of photos, Donald Trump photobombed Spain's World Cup trophy celebration and then became the center of a battle over who kept him in the frame. Okay? So they win. It's natural for them, and he's there, and he got permission with the other guy to put the medals on. All right, so that's one thing. Well, now the team wants to just take a photo of the championship
They're supposed
team.
to. This is very
That's
ritual.
traditional, right?
This is traditional.
And they're supposed to be by themselves when they lift up the trophy. But President Trump was in the picture, so they took him out of the picture because cropping President Trump out of Spain's World Cup victory photo may be worth 1,000 copies of the Odyssey right now. And then, so you see, here is the photo. If you're at the YouTube, look at our YouTube channel, you can see it. He's cropped out. But then the White House put him back in. Photo.
Look at him.
Which looks odd
Look
because
at
you
him.
can tell that it was
He looks
engineered.
so out of place.
It's weird.
Just
You know,
when
I
you
mean,
think
it's
he
like-
can't
it's
be
almost
any
like-
more obnoxious than he already is. There is no bottom to this man's ego.
Well, here's the thing. If it was the USA team, maybe you could see it, you know.
No, yeah, but I
this
mean,
is
still
not your
it's the
team or
World
your
Cup. It's a
country.
and it's tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that
Yeah.
this is like international sports have specific etiquette, right?
Yes.
And that's great. You can give the medals, but this is a traditional thing where they're throwing the captain up in the air. That's a picture that goes all over the world, right? So, and you know, don't think that they're not thinking about this, that the White House isn't thinking about this. I'm surprised that the FIFA president wasn't like, oh, okay, let's make this exception because he's such a
right.
Oh, he was
connection
just
to
going to
Trump.
let Trump
But
do
I
it. I mean,
think that-
this
I
is
think
a man who took somebody's Nobel Prize.
Right,
okay?
exactly.
I mean, there's nothing
But
he
this is
won't
what we
do.
understand, though, that image matters to the White House, that this is something that they can
absolutely.
use. Right, that this
Yes.
is what it's
You
all
think?
about. And so, but just honoring that. A leader should be honoring that, to honor that understanding.
I
of
will
the
say
game.
this. This is not an excuse. He may well not know that he was interrupting a traditional. I mean, he shouldn't have been doing it, period, so that it wouldn't come
then
up.
the narrative
But I'm
becomes
saying
about
he
this, and the
probably
narrative
did
is
not
not
know.
about the win.
Yeah,
the narrative
yeah.
is not about the team. Now
No,
the narrative
I
becomes
understand.
Of course, he always thinks the narrative is about him and his presence there. I thought it was incredibly inappropriate that only Trump got to place medals around people and not the president of Mexico and Canada.
Right.
Why was
Well,
he the only one doing that?
I
Why
think you know
would
why,
Infantino make this exception just for him? Well, I guess
think he was
we
the
know.
only one that asked.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you know what?
but
No
okay.
one looked at the optics of that. What
No.
about fair play? This is sportsmanship. Please.
Okay.
I just can't. I can't deal. Can't
Well,
deal.
the picture he's in and he's out and he's in and he's
Well, the
out.
one that's
so you can
circulating
find
worldwide
whatever.
is that one. of
Yeah,
the
and you
team.
can find the other one on the WhiteHouse.gov, I'm sure. Coming up, Seattle has a new star. He works nights, wears a mask, and has a weakness for trash. Jimothy, the odd-bodied raccoon taking over the internet, is next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
In 1996, a group of activists and musicians got together for a 2-day music festival in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, the Tibetan Freedom Concert. MTV was on hand to cover it live.
Lots of acts are here for the Tibetan Freedom Concert, a 2-day all-star show that today alone will feature the Beastie Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Smashing Pumpkins, York, Tribe.
30 years later, we look back at its impact next time on The World.
This afternoon at 3, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Roto-Rooter, providing plumbing, drain cleaning, and water cleanup services in North America since 1935. 24/7 emergency services available. Service information and scheduling can be found at rotorooter.com. And MIT Federal Credit Union, believing the right home starts with the right support. More at mitfcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 699225. And Newbury Court, serving Concord, Massachusetts for 30 years as a not-for-profit continuing care retirement community dedicated to older adults. More at newburycourt.org.
GBH Daily is a newsletter that keeps you informed, connected, and ready to go every weekday morning. You can subscribe today and get it in your inbox at gbh.org/daily.
I'm co-host Callie Crossley. Jared Bowen is away. This is the Culture Show live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. I'm joined by Culture Show contributors Lisa Simmons and Joyce Kulhawik. We're going over the latest arts and culture headlines, including a return to the Louvre. 9 months after thieves stole $102 million in crown jewels, the museum has reopened the Apollo Gallery without its display cases or surviving treasures. For now, the attraction is the room itself, its gilded walls, painted ceiling, and the window the thieves used to break in. Now, we've talked about this a lot on the show because we could not believe that this could happen in the daytime. I want to remind people, it happened in the daytime. They literally backed up this lift outside and just went in and started scooping up stuff, and nobody said anything. So we're left to think there maybe was an inside job or just people weren't paying attention.
It was clearly an outside job, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, hiding in plain sight, sometimes that's the best way to do it, right?
Yes.
I always thought that. You know, you just want to, like, throw on a hat, walk in with a clipboard or whatever. That's how I snuck into Live Aid. You know?
I mean,
like,
the fact that they haven't even found anything yet
nothing.
either is pretty unbelievable.
It's crazy.
This is Ocean's 11, like, 15 times over.
Except
you just
it
can't
was
believe it.
way more underplanned.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, or maybe it was brilliantly
I think that
planned.
This was definitely,
brilliantly
yeah,
planned,
I
but
think
it was not nearly as refined an operation. They break out a window, do this in broad daylight, and then drop a crown.
On the
which
way.
Is the only
just let it go.
thing
Just let it go.
have,
Just keep running. Just keep running.
The only thing they've recovered.
So I think, just looking at this, if you're looking at the photo up at the YouTube channel, seeing how long
that's
that
crazy.
stair thing was.
But it totally makes sense, right? Because you're thinking one person said that they're doing some work on the outside.
Of course.
And then, that's why that crane is there. All right, anyway, so what are you eating for lunch? Like,
exactly.
I feel like people were, because it's just so bold,
because
right?
no one would be brazen enough to do that.
Right.
You think so. All right, so now their solution is we're going to reopen the gallery. One could ask why, but they've decided.
Well, they have the crown.
They refurbished it, but there's nothing in there. Mm-hmm. It's just
a
beautiful hallway.
There's a light, there's gold, there's painted ceilings.
I know.
Well,
there's Louis XIV's royal power and artistic ambition is right on display there now. You can see that. It's not outshadowed by the spark. It's not outshadowed by the jewels.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
They even took out the display cases where the jewels had been. I thought they were going to do, like, as you said, an Isabella Stewart Gardner thing, which is actually kind of haunting. They
it is haunting.
But
so,
they didn't do that.
Which you can see
here.
the empty frames at the Isabella Stewart Gardner. Yeah, so I'm surprised by this. I think they had to reopen it, I guess.
I think so.
And We have no word.
What does it say
People said
about?
they missed it. They missed being able to go into this gallery, and they wanted to see the scene of the crime. Everybody wants to know where it was and walk
And there's still a
through
lot
the
of
space.
history. There's still a lot of history. The gallery itself holds a lot of history.
Apparently,
so I think
what the
that's
gallery always was supposed to be, a transitional space that surrounded this, which was a palace, now the Louvre Museum.
But now I'm thinking, too, like, what is the responsibility of a museum in this situation, right? So you don't have the objects that people are going to come see, but you have a memory of those objects, right? So you're not preserving something now, but you're preserving a memory. So do people come in, and now the question is, like, what was taken, what was missing, and have people do more research about that? So, I mean, I think that there's a whole other side to this of opening it up and having this conversation and having deeper conversations about, a museum's responsibility, bringing back history. I mean, there was a lot. We talked a lot about the responsibility of museums in this particular way around security and what does that mean. So
I'm still at the point that they have found nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be hard to fence, but still.
And yet they've arrested 4 people.
Yes.
So they can't get information out of them, which has led them back to the jewels.
Yeah.
But I love the point that you're making, Lisa, about going back there, because it really keeps people engaged with that museum and keeps interest in this totally alive and keeps it in front of people so that they are connected, committed, and maybe something somewhere will come in this way.
Right.
But I think it's absolutely worth it to walk through that gorgeous space in its original incarnation.
Right.
Well, speaking of keeping people in front, and Lizzo. It's about damn time, as her song once said. Lizzo makes her Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover debut, declaring herself sexy, fat, and fabulous. That's right, you heard me. Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover. So she said this was something she manifested. She wanted this in her whole journey of getting healthy and feeling good about her body. And when they asked her to be a part of it, she said yes, having no idea that they would put her on the cover.
Yeah.
Also, she has, people may not know, she's wearing her own swimsuit brand called Yiddy, which is her a name that people used to call her when she was a kid. That's a nickname. And so she named her company that, and a section of her clothing company is Yiddy Swim. So she's wearing a 2-piece on the cover.
Yeah.
She looks good. I think she looks
Actually,
good.
she looks amazing. She says, these are her words, I redefined sexy, redefined confidence, and redefined what a swimsuit body is since I was a kid. And she absolutely needs this now because her album is tanking.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But right. I mean, that could be true. But I think that, I also think that the Sports Illustrated has evolved, right? I mean, last year, Gail,
I think their marketing has evolved.
Right, their marketing has evolved. Well, that's an
wasn't
interesting
Martha
point, though, but that's an
Stewart on the
interesting point.
cover?
Yeah,
The interesting point is, have they evolved, or have they just
yes.
trying to figure out how to get to like the World Cup?
I think they're trying to
I
pull
think
in a
for
bigger
Lizzo,
audience, all different kinds
ding,
of
ding,
people,
that's what I
old,
think.
Right,
young,
exactly.
thin,
And so I think
heavy,
that that's an important part of it. And I think that Lizzo,
marketing.
because of that, could see herself here and unapologetically shows up saying, this is what I want. This is, and everyone understands that. Yes, all bodies aren't these perfect embodiment of what the Sports Illustrated, edition used to be. It's actually,
and still is to a large degree.
Still,
it is.
But it's opening itself up so that you have Lizzo who's on the front cover of it. And I think that that's important. She's always said that she's a storyteller. She's always talked about in her music about, who she is, and she's performances and her fashion and her public image. So, I mean, I think it comes to like who belongs and who's central to that space, and everyone belongs in that space, and I think that that's what this does, and it sort of opens
some
that
of
up.
this, and this is one of the issues, though, I have with Lizzo, because some of this is backfiring on her. She then subsequently went on to gain deliberately 20 pounds, but she had gotten a lot of public backlash from her fans who said, hey, wait a minute, you spent all this time associating your brand with big women, and then you go and betray us by losing all this weight, and now you're on this cover. So I think it was a mistake, and I do think it's a mistake for anybody to associate themselves or align themselves with one particular look if the fundamental issue is you have the right to look any way you want to look.
And that's how she sort of
Well,
started
she's been
her life
trying
this
to
way.
defend it this way, but it's like once she hung her brand on being a really oversized woman, then she loses weight, she's going to be in trouble there. She can't care about any of this.
Yeah.
I think her message, and her best message, is I define myself. I am who I am. My weight
regardless
goes up and down.
of who she is.
Maybe
right.
I like myself 20 pounds
and I
thinner.
feel like
Maybe
she does
this
that.
week
She's
I
like,
like
this
it
is,
heavier.
Right. This
Well,
is
no,
who I
she's
am.
been playing
I
defense
mean, she has
a lot.
been, and now, but now
it's
I think
unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. She kind of locked herself into a box with that.
But
So-
I think that she's
doing well
showing
now.
that she can now adapt like that. I think that being on on the cover of the swimsuit issue, I think she's sort of saying, you can be all of these things.
Yeah.
And hopefully
Well,
people
I-
will accept her for that.
I hope so.
And in
And
addition
hopefully
to
her
that,
album
you can
will do
also be a
better.
business mogul because that's her swim line, so she gets 2 hits.
Yeah, exactly.
She's
And
wearing
that's
her
it.
own
But her,
brand.
creating
her
her own
album
brand.
is not a hit.
Okay,
It's
but her
got
brand,
negative
but her
reviews.
swimsuit might be brand.
And
might
she's
be.
still involved in a lawsuit, a long-standing lawsuit, which was brought by 3 of her backup dancers for sexual
So
harassment.
a couple of those have been dismissed. So
Hostile.
she's-
Well, the ones about
yeah.
the body image stuff,
Right,
the body
yeah.
shaming, those,
Yes.
but not the hostile work environment, not the kidnapping. There's a few other things she continues to fight. She hasn't folded or pled out.
And
so,
she's looking
yeah.
good now.
She's
That's
looking
all we
good.
can say.
Yeah.
All right. So a 19-year-old bought a Lakers warm-up for $3.07, I believe that was the tax, at a Goodwill outside Portland, Oregon, and then learned Wilt Chamberlain wore it in the 1972 NBA Finals. Sotheby's just sold it for $89,600. Now that's what I call Goodwill hunting.
Yeah. I like
Nice,
that.
Callie.
This is my fantasy, of course, that I will be walking through some yard sale or whatever, and I see a tiny little painting, and it's a long lost Rembrandt or something.
Exactly,
This
me
is
too.
my fantasy. So I'm so excited for this kid. He
I mean,
spotted
I'm a
it
huge
instantly.
thrifter.
Well, we
thrifty.
should say
You
he,
are?
he,
Oh, yes.
he is a guy who has just gotten into
Yes.
selling used clothes. So he was going through, as he does, looking for stuff. Somebody put it back in the bin. He grabbed it, and then he thought, I should probably look this up and see, and discovered that
Yeah, I mean, I actually
superstar
didn't
Wilt
know
Chamberlain.
that there was such a thing as a thrift reseller. But good for him.
Oh,
But I mean,
yes.
it's everyone's dream. It's like going to the Antiques Roadshow and being like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea that was $1
It's
million."
true.
I
It's
want
the
to know
key
why
to
it
that
only
show.
sold for
Let's
$89,000.
take a listen to him. This is
89,000.
19-year-old thrifter Quinn Brown on his slam dunk of a bargain bin win.
I found this jacket. It was Wilt Chamberlain's 1972 NBA Finals warm-up jacket. I saw somebody looking at it, and I was kind of waiting, and they ended up just throwing it back in the bin, immediately grabbed it. Didn't know what I had at the time, but definitely knew it was something special. Obviously never even expected to find anything like 100th of what this ended up being worth.
So he's gotten another piece of memorabilia, and the highest that he was able to sell it for was $250. So this is a long way.
I mean, I want to know who gave it away. Like,
No, the people are just
I know,
selling
but
it.
I mean, from
somebody
Chamberlain's,
is
like,
kicking
this was like
themselves
the end.
now.
Oh, you mean at the beginning?
At the beginning, right? I mean, this is the
apparently
end
there
of
was
Wilt
a tag.
Chamberlain's sort
There
of-
was a dry cleaner's tag on it, so it might have been one of those things that ended up. At
Oh,
the-
right, and no one picked it up
yeah,
or something
right,
like that.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I mean, this
like
was,
Wilt didn't go back to the dry cleaner and pick it up.
or his
That's
family.
what- that's
but
what
I
the
mean,
theory is,
The
okay.
thing is that I'm surprised it only sold for $89,000. I mean, this is a jersey from the end of his career. It was the championship that the Lakers, they finally overcame years of like being a horrible team. It carries
And
the
Chamberlain was voted MVP
yes,
in that
during that
game.
year. So,
Yeah.
but you just never know what you're going to find. And I just think you're witnessing history here. I mean, this is history, so it's really the memory. It's not so much that yes, here's Chamberlain's shirt, but it also brings back, like we're talking about before, about this cultural memory of this person who was an amazing, amazing player, right? And that carries with it all of this value, and in addition to his shirt that we're looking at him wearing it here.
And they were able to authenticate the provenance. Sotheby's got involved
Yes,
because this guy.
he posted it, and then Sotheby's said, "Uh-oh, wait a minute."
But their estimates for how much it would bring
Yeah,
in
that's
was
interesting.
something like 150,000
I know, that's what I thought.
to
Yeah.
200,000.
Yeah, I
So
thought it was
I'm
interesting.
wondering how the heck did he only end up with 89.5? I
Well,
would have
they
thought
have
that
a
this
cut.
many. I don't mean only, but
Yeah.
oh,
Out of $3.
Because you think Sotheby's took the rest of that? I mean,
I think
don't.
they have a cut,
I
yeah.
guess they have a cut.
Yeah. Yeah,
So there you go. So
Yeah.
But
Oh,
anyway, this is
absolutely.
pretty
Yeah.
remarkable. And they actually were able to authenticate stitch for stitch that this, in fact, was worn by Chamberlain at this pivotal.
So go thrifting, pick up things.
Sports moment.
Yeah. Well, I'll never find anything, so I'm not even going to, that's just ridiculous. I think it's that. And I love this. I love that this guy was so excited about it. And
I've had
a
this
big
blouse
thrill.
for 30 years, It's like.
Please let Sotheby's know.
It was worn by Joyce.
Why don't you post it?
That. Oh, my God.
Steve,
why don't you post
it? It's worth millions.
Okay. This perhaps is the biggest news of the week. Seattle's resident raccoon, Jimothy, has hit peak fame. The oddly shaped ball of fur now has his own Roku video game, a brand new bobblehead, and even a presence on the White House social media feed. All right, for those of you thinking, what in the world is Jimothy? It's a raccoon who has a spine problem, so he's oddly shaped. And you can see the picture here on the YouTube channel at GBH. And people have become enamored. There was a young woman walking in her neighborhood who spotted him, took a picture. She thought it was a cat, then said, "What is this?" And, by the way, she was a marketing specialist. She named him Jimothy because she said he looked like a Jimothy. All right.
Whatever a Jimothy.
All right. Let's take a listen to what the internet had to say about Jimothy.
What am I looking at? You have the strangest body, buddy.
Don't eat the baby, don't have a tail.
What happened to its tail? I would say that I was seeing some kind of gray, fluffy creature that was shaped sort of like an orb with really long legs. Almost looks to me like a monkey or a lemur. This was my first time seeing Jimothy, and I initially thought that he was a cat. I realized he definitely wasn't a cat. I think he's just sort of round and a silly little guy, and people just sort of need something silly and fun in their life right now.
So the specific anomaly that this little raccoon has is called short spine syndrome. And this is a rare congenital anomaly.
Yes.
And he certainly looks different from the rest. And I think people are gravitating toward this little guy because he's carrying on just like any other little raccoon.
He's just a raccoon being a raccoon.
Which is what everybody wants to mainstream all of our differences. And I think, honestly, this is why people feel for this little raccoon, little guy. He's just carrying on.
No, I mean, I love this story.
Now.
He's just a raccoon living a little raccoon life, and he doesn't even know he's famous. I want to know if he's making any money off of off of the little stuffed animals that obviously they're going to create around him. But I mean, it's sort of like something that doesn't fit the accepted shape, right? And normally you'd be like, oh no, we're gonna we're gonna run away from that. But
no,
the fact
he's a subject of extra love.
He is, because apparently when he was born, so there's another Facebook post about the people who actually saw him in their backyard when he was growing up, and that his family took care of him, and that his family helped him when he needed help, but they just sort of they all were there. It's just it's just this wonderful
came from
story.
A loving
it's this
family.
Disney. There will be another Disney movie.
Well, there is going to be another honor attached to this. Seattle City Council member Alexis Rink has announced that on July 26th, she plans to present a proclamation in the raccoon's honor, quote, to commemorate Jimothy Summer.
I mean,
I want to give proper credit to the person who first saw him, took the picture and named him. Kiana Hall, 33-year-old marketing specialist.
Yeah.
Okay, so
boy, did she know her marketing.
Right. They say he moves around, jumps, forages, behaves like a typical raccoon. He appears to be functioning well. Do not feed him. He is a wild animal. That's what. So people are leaving food out for him, for Jimothy, and they're like, no. He's good. He's fine. So that's part of it too. Is that he is a wild animal, soon to be a stuffed animal, not himself, but I'm sure
my gosh, Lisa.
Not himself, but they're going to create it. I'm sure there's going to be so much marketing around this little. raccoon.
You know what? What a concept.
There is merch. Let's say that there is merch starting already.
But
first, I want to talk about the mural that's appropriately behind the garbage can. Yes.
What?
They commissioned a mural behind the garbage can, and it's lovely. So people are just going crazy. The city's baseball team briefly changed its social media profile picture to one of the raccoon wearing a Mariners hat. Okay, it's been dressed as a raccoon, participated in a mascot race. Jimothy took home the Winothy, a spectator reported on X. Okay, during the World Cup final, the official Budweiser Instagram account posted a picture of Jimothy, and the official NASA account on X posted a photo of Seattle taken from the International Space Station, stating Jimothy runs the city.
You know what? But this is what I love about this is that it actually harkens back to some of the other stories we were talking about, right? It's like he's being sort of like unapologetically who he is, even though he's a raccoon and he doesn't know. But it's sort of like, I think it gives other people and kids and whatever, you know, this sense of
permission to be different.
Yes, permission to be different, and it's okay to be different. And here's Jimothy, and here I'm even thinking about Messi, who they said he wasn't going to be able to play because he was too small. We're looking at Lizzo being on the cover of, look, Callie thinks I'm making a stretch, but it's true.
No, because I
it's
think
like
Lisa's doing the ABC
really
afternoon special,
him, and then you're not if you're not the perfect whatever.
Oh,
you don't have to be. Look at Jimothy.
Well, that's nothing. I'll go one step further.
What?
If you take a good look at the helmet that Matt Damon's wearing in the Odyssey,
there you go.
With that big feathered plume that is in a little circle,
it's
looks
all
just
connected.
like Jimothy. Looks just like Jimothy.
It's all connected.
Okay, people are
I
getting
think Homer had it in
tattoos
mind.
of Jimothy.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. I just want to point that out. I mean, this has really gone far and wide, and I want to put it in a little bit of tiny other
People
context.
are desperate to escape.
Well, maybe, but also we get really, look at the picture of the tattoo.
Yeah.
Fast AF. Boing. We'll let you interpret AF.
Ooh. Yeah.
Let me also say that this is part and parcel, I think, of our fascination with quirky animals. Yes. Because Pizza Rat was, out there for many, many weeks and still comes back as an example of when people think about quirky animals. Pizza Rat, if people are not familiar, let me remind you, it's this little rat, had a big old piece of pizza and dragged it down the steps of the subway.
Yeah, twice as big as he was.
That's correct. And it became a national fascination for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Because it's determination. It's a perseverance. It's
and then the drunken raccoon.
What does that say about
raccoon?
us people? Remember Moo Dang, the pygmy hippo? We were fascinated with Moo Dang, and then we released that and moved on. We're just fickle.
We're embracing the difference.
We're just fickle animal, quirky animal likers. It's what I could come up with. So when something really hits, we just go for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too with social media like this. It's just amazing. It goes viral. It connects with so many people, and so I think that's a big part of it as well.
Do you remember the drunken raccoon?
Yes.
Okay, so the drunken raccoon. I actually saw that David Muir present that on ABC's News. I mean, I'm like, but people love raccoons. They're very expressive. I love raccoons. Come on, don't you?
And what about then we talked about the punching octopus, the octopus that punches people to get it to people punches other fish as it's in its domain.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're fascinated by it because we think that animals that we're told that they should
animals.
No, but they're told that they should be a certain way. A raccoon acts this way, a bear acts this way. When they don't,
when they act like animals,
it becomes fascinating.
Exactly.
I want to meet Jimothy.
By the way, Jimothy also has a sticker.
I'm sure that they're running tours.
There's a sticker with Jimothy's face on it saying, "Doing my best." So I just want to let you know.
I love that.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Wait, did Melania put him up to that? Be best?
No, doing my best is the Jimothy sticker. So don't get it confused.
Okay.
I don't know. There's nobody's talking about trying to grab him. So that's, I think, is okay.
Just feed him.
Just don't feed him. And there are now memes and a Lego build and gaming trips. Yes. So anyway, Jimothy has made our week. How's that?
He's very inspirational.
I love it.
All right, and now for our weekend preview with a rundown of the arts and culture events we're looking forward to. Lisa, what's on your list?
I am looking forward to the French Film Festival at the Museum of Fine Arts. It is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and it is a wide-ranging selection of contemporary cinema from France focused on art, identity, and cultural memory. So it's at the MFA. It opens on the 24th today.
Okay.
And runs for a week. And so check it out. It's always sold out, so get your tickets.
Joyce.
I'm saying get to the theater. I jumped a foot out of my seat in the first act of Paranormal Activity, which is currently at the Colonial Theater and currently scaring the pants off of Boston audiences, so bring an extra pair, I'm telling people. It's now a strictly limited Broadway engagement, so it's headed to Broadway, so see it here before Broadway. I think it's much better than the 2009 hit movie, which didn't scare me at all. This has thrills and chills and jump scares and blackouts, but this house is haunted, and it uses all the familiar tropes, but it's haunted at every level, within and without. See it through July 30th at the Colonial.
Okay, this weekend the Puerto Rican Festival is back at Franklin Park. It's food, vendors, music of all kinds. That is going to be exciting, so people should go see it. And it's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, our weekend review all-stars are Lisa Simmons and Joyce Kulhawik. Lisa Simmons is Artistic and Executive Director of the Roxbury International Film Festival and Program Manager at Mass Cultural Council. Joyce Kulhawik is an Emmy Award-winning arts and entertainment reporter, President of the Boston Theater Critics Association, and you can find her reviews at joyceschoices.com. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Culture Show. A reminder, next Wednesday, July 29th is our Wednesday watch party. We're revisiting Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Thanks to everybody, engineer Bill Pigliacitelli, the BPL Technical and Logistics crew, and the Lennox Hotel. I'm Callie Crossley. Have a great day.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.